Hello, world. We're here. We're here to talk about Evangelion today. Today's a very important day in the timeline.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
It is, in fact.
Yes, because you are now on board the Evangelion train.
Yes.
So, okay, I guess everyone can hear us. If you can't hear our audio or if anything sounds weird, just let us know. Yeah, we had some technical difficulties. Like all me. all
Unlucky, I
me.
think.
But you know what, very understanding fellow here. So
Everybody in chat bully him right now. Make fun of him.
All right, buddy, come on. We talked about this. Don't be toxic.
Well,
So what we're gonna do today is do you have your audio recording thing open?
it is open and it is recording.
Okay, great. I need to get on that.
Well,
See, it's all me today. It's all me. So this is mainly gonna be like an audio. We're gonna have an audio version of this. So since we're recording, we're gonna interact a little bit with the chat, but it's mostly we're gonna save most of that, any questions or comments, till afterward, and then we'll just talk to more so with the chat afterward. We'll just kind of be discussing with each other.
oh boy.
Yeah, because we have a lot to talk about today.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Evangelion.
Yeah. So let me just hit that record button. Telling what to not be toxic is like telling him not to like Yohane.
Well, that's rude. Don't be rude.
So let's start doing that. Okay, that's recording. Hopefully the settings are correct. Okay, so it looks like I'm a floating head. Okay, well, I can't
Wearing
do
a black
anything about
shirt. Is that an Ava shirt, you nerd?
No, it's a Gengar shirt.
Okay.
Whoops. You gotta represent the Pokemon.
Gengar. That's a good Pokemon, actually.
I love Gengar. He's my favorite. All right, so you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so without further ado, let's get this thing rolling. Let's go.
Oh boy. Oh, he really does have the soundboard.
I mean, come on.
Why aren't you playing the best cover of Neon Genesis Evangelion's opening? The one where I do the entire instrumental with my mouth sounds.
Oh, and I didn't know that existed. I like the gospel version. So welcome to the very first episode, or maybe this is episode 0. I'll have to decide afterward, of the Just Weebs podcast. And my first host is my special friend here, Mr. Love Live himself.
Mr. Love Live himself. Oh, you are actually okay. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
He's playing like
WatTheWut.
Why would, of all the songs you could have picked, you picked Start Dash?
Oh, it was on purpose.
Why?
Because it wasn't Sunshine, so and I kind of like Start Dash.
Start Dash is good, but it's like it's only good because it's the best one from season 1, which isn't like good pickings.
Listen, man, I just gave you an intro.
Oh, okay, well.
So anyways, I'm here with Mr. WatTheWut, and so we, take it back a bit. A few months back, we were discussing, he was considering, rewatching Evangelion. He wanted me to watch Love Live, and we decided to do sort of an exchange. It was, he would rewatch all of Evangelion, including the rebuilds, while I would watch all of Love Live, both seasons, including the movies, minus the season that just aired, right?
You didn't watch Nijigaku, no, because by the time we were planning this, Niji was still airing. So I was just like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Not like Niji's really part of the mainline canon, so it's not like it really matters. So, yeah.
So today we're not going to talk about Love Live. We're going to save that for another kind of its own episode focused on that. Today we're just going to talk about Evangelion, and kind of let's just start off with so how was your rewatch? Actually, to preface this, you originally, before the rewatch, you gave Evangelion all of it. You gave the end Evangelion, the main series, you gave it all a 1 out of 10.
Yeah, because I hated it.
Okay.
It's actually like been a long, crazy road where it's like I've had to explain that so many times. Like it got to the point where like I got tired of explaining why I had it at a 1 out of 10 that I just said like I just don't want to. Like I'm not gonna talk about it. I refused to touch it for like a long time and just kind of like backhandedly insulted it like every other moment.
Yeah. So what originally, like when you originally watched it, like why didn't you like it?
Well, when I originally watched it, I had it at a 6. So like the first time I watched it, I
Okay.
had it at a 6, and it was really just because I had this idea. Well, first of all, like I had this idea with scores where it was like, oh yeah, they have to be fair, and you have to figure out like, oh, you have to consider all kinds of things, not just your personal enjoyment. Because I was like a Glass Reflection fan or something back then, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, so even though I don't like it, I'll give it a 6 because I respect what it did for anime or whatever. I think that was my reasoning back then, and that was
Okay.
what I had it at because I wasn't having fun watching it at all because it was just I was either bored or irritated the entire time watching, and I was just like, I don't care. So that was it. But
But you
then,
thought the respectful thing to do was give it a 6 because
yeah,
again, you were influenced to not kind of factor in your enjoyment.
yeah. Um, Here's a tip for anybody who's thinking about joining the My Anime List community, which you shouldn't. But if
I
you
just
are
did.
ever, don't. If you ever consider joining the My Anime List community, do not give Ava a score lower than 8, or you will get the Ava community on Mal harassing you every day until your score changes.
Well, did you budge?
No, yeah, I budged. I made it 5 points lower. So to my
So,
actual feelings, I was like, yeah, no, you know what? Fuck you. It's a 1 out of 10 now.
okay. Well, good that you doubled down. So you didn't actually feel it was like a 1 out of 10 back then. You still thought, okay, even if this wasn't enjoyable, it's like a 6.
No, I
Um,
felt it was a 1 out of 10. I just gave it a 6 because I was like, oh, it. I have to have my scores fair and balanced.
right.
It's not, yeah. But then I was like, fuck fair and balanced. This is how I feel. This is a 1 out of 10.
Yeah. So now that you've rewatched it, what do you have it as a 7 out of 10?
My scores for each of them are Neon Genesis Evangelion, the TV show, is a 7 out of 10. My score for End of Evangelion is a 5, I think. Yeah, it's a 5. My score for Ava for 1.0 is a 4. 2.0 is the only one that has stayed out of 1 because I was just watching it. Ironically, me liking Ava now has now made me like 2.0 less. And
All right,
and 3
we'll get into the
yeah,
rebuild. So,
and 3.0 is a 6. So higher than EOE.
okay.
So,
Oh, okay. Well, we have to talk about that. So,
yeah.
watching the OG series, like kind of going through, episodes. I don't know. Do you want to go like arc by arc, like episodes 1 through 6, or 1 through 12? Sort of. How did you feel about with the first half of Evangelion?
I mean, the first half is like, because what I figured out what I like from Ava, which is a thing I've noticed as I've started watching more things, is that like in terms of what I believe it does well, as opposed to like what I was interested in, like what it does well and what I was interested in is mainly like the glorified therapy session aspect of it, where the characters just interact and talk and like or have moments where they're just vulnerable. What
Mhm.
I don't find myself interested in is dumb robot shit that Ava does where it's like, look, we're gonna put the big robot punch things because it's like Ava does the kind of big robot shit where it tries to like it appeals to some people where it's like the realism aspect of it. They're trying to make the thing the robots move and act as grounded as possible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool, but this is it's monster of the week,
Mhm.
and that kind of format where it's like we got good episodes like the Hedgehog's Dilemma, and then we got the inflation episode as well as the the
Right. Well, those
the one
that
where they
that
go to.
wasn't a great episode. But it's still part of the first half. So, but knowing like what I know about you is that you're a big tokusatsu fan. You know, you like Kamen Rider, and you like, I think, or appreciate Ultraman and stuff like
Um,
that.
it's I've yet to finish an Ultraman series because I tried watching one at like the recommendation of a friend, and it turns out it was the wrong one to watch first.
Hmm.
Um, but like Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Garo are like good examples of ones that I like and have watched. I've got more like watching out of Kamen Rider mainly because like in terms of Super Sentai, I like watched Power Rangers growing up, so like
Yeah,
it's harder for me to like watch the shows I've already seen. And
yeah,
with Garo, I'm still in the middle of watching. No, I finished Garo versus Road, so I'm only in the middle of original Garo right now.
yeah. So, well, because you kind of have that, you like tokusatsu. I thought you'd be into more of the robot stuff in Evangelion. What about it is kind of like, this is kind of, is it because it's Monster of the Week, or just,
Part
or because
part
they
of
don't
what
do it well?
part of what it is just like it's um Ava goes for like a mix of like classic mecha shit and also tokusatsu. So it's like it's going for that more grounded feel. What makes a tokusatsu so wacky to me is the fact that they're trying to do all this crazy stuff on a budget is what makes it so interesting to me. So like watching, for example, big guys in big rubber suits beat the shit out of each other and do all this crazy stuff on camera for me is more entertaining than just seeing it drawn unless it's done like more exaggerated, at least just personally for me.
Well, Ava's gotten a lot of kind of praise, at least for people that like that, because it's so like detailed in the drawings of the robots. Because like you were saying earlier, it goes for that realistic kind of aspect, or trying to make the robots work, kind of,
Yeah,
in reality from a sci-fi perspective.
mecha fuckers eat that shit up. That's like if you ask a mecha fuckers to like write off everything Ava does, the only thing they'll concede to is that yo, the designs are really cool and the realism and all that shit. Like I
Right.
got that. They were like trying. They're the kind of people who say only care about the robot shit. Everything else doesn't matter. Those are the
Yeah.
kind of like that's the kind of audience that aspect of it appeals to.
Okay, so the kind of like the whole first half, episodes kind of 1 through 12, were sort of like, like whatever. When you were watching it, it was like, okay, this is kind of the same from what I remember. I mean, it kind of, like, the first 6 episodes are kind of slow, and they're really really focused on like Shinji. It doesn't go too introspective, but it's really focused on kind of him, and running away, and his feelings, and kind of setting up the themes for the show. But then the next kind of half, when Asuka gets introduced, is kind of when it becomes more of that, like even more so, that typical robot of the week mecha, trying to beat the angels and stuff like that. And
I
then,
mean, yeah. I mean, I think like I actually think before Asuka shows up, it's a little less monster of the week-ish, right? It's a
yeah,
little bit of it, but like once Asuka shows up, then it's like now we're gonna fight the Ava using a Twister. Now we're gonna fight the Ava using inflation, and it's
yeah,
like okay, let's chill out.
yeah. I mean, like, it's because she's just so competitive, so it kind of forces that part into the dynamic where it's focused on beating the monsters, instead of like Shinji's like kind of own feeling, sort of. It's more of his now relation, like now being intimidated by this new pilot.
Yeah,
Um,
well, yeah, it never really goes away, but like in that aspect never really goes away. It's just what you'll notice in the first half of Ava is that Shinji's like trying to like kind of open up more, and like you see him smile but it never seems genuine, and he's like he's opening up but he's not fully like opening up, like fully like like exposing himself to everybody else, so he's still like holding back a lot,
yeah,
but he's trying
yeah,
because
and yeah,
because he
and
thinks
like,
through finding Ava, that's what he has to do. Yeah.
yeah, like you were. That's actually the thing that you were talking about now. That you were saying, like, before we started the podcast, you were saying you enjoyed Shinji a lot more this time around, or you found him to be the best character, or something
He is
along
the
those
best
lines.
character, yeah.
Yeah, but like, is that kind of saying that you didn't think that the first time you watched it, and now you connected with him more? Is that why?
I so I think the best way I can explain this, right, is that I, while I never liked Ava, I understood what it was about. Like that was the thing that like I never like that never went away for me was the fact that even though I hated it, I understood what it was about and what it was trying to do. I just didn't vibe with how it was going about it. I didn't like any of the characters like on an because like for a while I would try to like do the thing where it was like, oh, it's bad, therefore there must be something wrong with them. But I
Yeah.
think around like the last 2 years, I finally just came to the realization that I was like, no, um, I just don't like them. There's something in like about like internally about me that like for a while I was like just didn't agree with the way he did things. There's a reason why for a while I vibed with Simon the Digger as opposed to Shinji. I
Yeah.
still think I like Simon better still,
Hmm.
but that's also because my understanding of Gurren Lagann also shifted
Yeah.
in the past few years.
Yeah. So, but you kind of understood where Shinji was coming from the beginning. It's just again,
I didn't sympathize. There's a difference between understanding and sympathizing, I
but
guess.
what made you sympathize now? I guess did you sympathize first of all, and then what if you did? What kind of changed?
Personal life things aren't exactly going well. I've kind of come to terms with little aspects that kind of line up, and you'll notice that my like I my char- my a lot of like my favorite characters and like things that I've come to love more have shifted towards those kind of characters like Subaru from ReZero, Chica
Yeah.
from Love Live Sunshine, you know, the aspect of Simon that's not just him fighting through the pain, but also the reason why he's doing it and how he's going about it.
Yeah. I mean, like I feel like most of the like I personally like hate like when people say like, oh, the people that enjoy Evangelion are people that are, you have to be depressed to kind of enjoy Evangelion to really get
The
it. I mean, like I get it as a joke, but like sometimes it feels a little
mm,
reductionist.
So no, I've like so we were gonna talk. We talked about this where it was like because I've heard every single argument for and against Ava under the fucking sun. It was
Yeah,
like so, there were people going around. They were trying to actually say that in order, like your proportion to how much you love Ava is how much you hate yourself, or something like that.
yeah,
Other people would say if you don't like Ava or you don't like the characters, you lack empathy and are it's like you can't it's like you lack empathy and don't feel bad for these characters because you should just feel bad for them. And it's
yeah,
like no, because then you're saying because I don't like your cartoon that I'm a sociopath. And it's like that's not going to convince me any way to feel better about it. Ava is very much one of those shows where it's like if you don't emotionally connect with it, then nothing it does is going to really matter to you. Because
yeah.
at
No,
least from my
continue.
perspective, because I never found it that hard to understand.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like definitely you have to emotionally connect with it. I don't think you have to necessarily be depressed, but if you are like have ever been troubled in any way, or kind of one of the big things about Evangelion is sort of not being able to connect with other people or having a hard time connecting with other people. The Hedgehog's dilemma, the whole thing is spelled out throughout the whole series. And if you've ever had that, even if you're not necessarily depressed, you can kind of relate to it in some way or connect with it in some way or get that struggle, I guess. Would you agree or
Yeah, that's because again, the only thing that stopped me from liking Ava was just because I wasn't vibing and emotionally connected with anything because I was rejecting the ideas that it was some of the idea about Shinji that I was putting forth. Because rewatching it, this is an interesting shift I realized. When I was watching it before, when I first started, I was like, damn, this child is irritating. Just get in the robot, you dumb child. Like, I don't care. I sympathize more so with characters like Misato, I guess, back then. Or like where it's like they just didn't know what to do for this kid. And I was just like, because I was in that mindset of very much oh, if you feel bad about things, just push through it, you'll feel better. But recently, I just feel that that's not the case, which it obviously isn't, because now when I rewatched the first episode of Ava, the entire time I was like, damn, they're really gaslighting this child into like fighting a war, aren't they?
it's really interesting. Like when you rewatch Ava, like when you're older, I don't know. I watched it when I was very young, and I had one perspective of Ava, and then I thought I understood everything about it, and like I watched it again a few times when it like dropped on Netflix and stuff like that, and then I don't know, like I could see why people hated Shinji back then. Like, oh, he's such an annoying character because you don't want to like be like him. It's kind of like he's kind of mirroring the audience. It's like he's like the character you don't want to be. And then I watched it recently again, and I was just like, man, like Shinji has his bad points, yeah, sure, but like he really doesn't deserve all this. He really just wants someone to be nice to him, and they're just kind of like piling it on him and until he like breaks.
Because like so everyone I've had try to explain this to me does a really bad job of it, because it's just like you have to feel bad for him. But like it's like, because look, it's a child. Anyone would react in this situation. First of all, people react differently to different situations. So like the best way you can explain it really is just this. You are on your way to see your dad, who you haven't talked to in years. You think your dad hates you, but you think he calls you because he wants to hang out, like talk to you for the first time ever. So you go to his little thing. Like he doesn't even pick you up. He leaves you in the middle of a war zone with this chick who help makes you help her tip over her car back on its wheels just so they can drive to the facility. Then they go to the facility, and then the dad just goes, "Hey, so you're piloting this war machine? I don't give a shit about you." And he's like, "What the fuck is going on? I don't know what's happening. Why am I here?" And then everybody's just screaming at you. "What is wrong with you? Get inside the war machine and kill the giant monster. Also, if you don't do it, we will all die. It is all riding on your shoulders."
No, or we'll take this injured person that's already on death's door and just have her pilot it instead.
That's the best part. "If you don't pilot the robot, this injured child will do it. All right, you want to have that on your conscience, dumb kid?" And he's just like, "Damn, I guess, sure. If that's what's gonna make this all go away, I'm gonna do it." And then like they just keep putting the responsibility on him, and it's like my guy just came there to see his dad. Didn't even know that he. It's like I'm gonna give a kid like a submachine gun and say, "Shoot those people right now, or I'll make your brother do it."
Yeah, exactly. Just do it. Why can't you do it? What is wrong with you? Why? Just get in there and do it. And that's kind of how it felt for at least the like the first the whole 20 episodes. It's slowly breaking Shinji more and more. It's kind of like, okay, how much more can he take? And I still think like I agree. People like Shinji like should be held accountable. Like he still has the power to change, but I could also understand like why it's hard and like what they put him through, that like why his psyche would be in that state. Like it's understandable. Because that was they just kept hammering it on. Like in the whole second half, it's pretty much like up until the point where things are finally looking okay, and then the whole Toji thing, that was and no one even told him about it. It's just why wouldn't he be mad?
It was just it's just like a successive stream of things where it's like, by piloting the Eva, Shinji then realizes that like, oh, I get praise for doing this. It's literally he's being gaslit. He's like, I'll get praise for doing this. I just got to pilot the Eva and everything will be okay. And he seems to think that by doing so, it'll all get better. He starts like kind of getting more social during like the half where Asuka's there, and then then there's like a shift where the Toji thing happens, and the Toji thing is interesting for a number of reasons, because Toji's another person who blames Shinji for like piloting it incorrectly. Like, what were you doing? You're just messing around. Do you not care about the people here? And Shinji again just reiterates some facts. He's like, I didn't choose to do that. Like, I didn't want to do this. And the entire time Toji like never really apologizes for it. Actually, this is like a whole thing that they say. He just never really apologized for what he said to Shinji, but he never gets the chance, because then he ends up being the very thing that he criticized Shinji for being, and then Shinji, like, against his own will, like brutally injures him.
Yeah, it's messed up. you know, it's they keep putting Shinji in those situations. And I think like none of the adults there obviously are good examples either. You know, it's the show goes to great lengths to show you that everyone is kind of flawed there and unlikable and doesn't really, you know, isn't is trying to help Shinji, but in the end they end up hurting him more through what they're doing. And I think I mean, I like the scene. The only person that actually tried to give you know, good advice was Kaji in the I think it was episode 19 when Shinji had run away, and then he finds Kaji in the garden, and he just kind of like tells Shinji to kind of he has to choose what he wants for himself, sort of.
Yeah, it's. I would say that like Kaji and at least because Misato at least tries, right? Misato at least tries to help him, but she can't because she herself is like using things to run away from her own problems. And something you realize about Misato in specific, like in particular, is that like she's one of the only characters who's adult that admits that she's like not all there is not all put together as an adult, as opposed to everybody else who's acting as if they're more mature than they are.
Yeah, like she's the one that's really not putting up any fronts in that regard. Like she tries to, but like she really fails miserably at it, and you know towards the end she unravels more and more.
Yeah,
Yeah, but at least she's not always honest, but she at least
she
shows
tries.
that she cares, you know, as opposed to like Ritsuko or even Gendo who have trouble. You know, Gendo has the same issues as his son, you know, where he can't like express those feelings. Um, so yeah, and what were your favorite episodes in the original series? Which part did you enjoy the most? Like the last few?
It's the last few episodes that really like I enjoyed more. What I like because like rewatching it, and now that I emotionally connect with it, so there were scenes that when I was watching, like remember when Shinji's standing at the train, and all the shots where they're those like still frames, everybody memes on them, like there's criticisms going around, which you know if you don't agree with them, if you don't agree with the point of them, I could see you not liking, because I also was the same way, where it's like just they use the still frames both as a budgetary restriction, but also as like a way of like boosting the tension. So when Shinji comes back after running away and going around on the trains, he stands there on the tracks and just like, because he doesn't know what to say to Misato, he doesn't know how to like properly express to her like what he really feels. So the only thing he can say is, you know, I'm home. Like he waits so long to try to figure out what to say. There's also the elevator scene where like they're sitting in there, like the point is, you know, it's awkward. They don't know what to say to each other. And there's also the part where Shinji holds Kaworu, where like he's wrestling with the decision of what to do. Like there's I feel better about them. I can also just see how like people would get irritated with it. A lot of Ava's problems in terms of how people feel about it, I've noticed come from either poor explanation or lack of understanding when they watch it. But
Like I remember those scenes, and like I get the dramatic tension, the build up behind the. But I remember when I was watching them, I was like, oh yeah, I know this is gonna freeze frame for a while. It's building it up, but then for a while, it's like, oh no, it's still going. It's still going. Why is it still going? And then it like okay, then the action kind of happens, or then it ends. Like okay, that did take a while, but you know, I still get it.
I almost feel like it's like people, a lot of Ava fans watch it with the mindset of like, because they like the dumb robot shit, they like the action, they like it when Shinji gets in their robot and kicks people's asses. But especially me rewatching
Is that Ava fans though? Is that Ava fans?
The Ava,
I don't know. I thought the Ava fans
like
like the therapy sessions. I thought, you know,
some of them, like at least like the ones who don't get the point, they go like, because Ava fans are like split into this weird thing where, because like, so the ones who enjoy the therapy sessions therefore want you, like, are the ones who will say if you don't sympathize with Shinji, you're a terrible person.
right.
The ones who like do the dumb mecha shit will only focus on the dumb mecha shit. So like, and they'll complain about like the last 2 episodes, or like they'll complain about the
I
show has no meaning.
I've encountered those. But wait, actually, I do want to talk about the TV ending, but I do want to see if I can make that distinction. What like so the people that say if if you don't enjoy it, you don't empathize with Shinji, blah blah blah, are they you think they're wrong? You think that's also a wrong take,
You're
that
putting
saying
the guilt of you not liking a show onto another person. It's like you're saying they're a sociopath because they don't like your favorite show. And it's like that's not the best way to like, you know, that's not the best way to go about making somebody like something. I just want to address something in the chat real quick. Somebody's saying when I specify big robot focus anime is dumb. That is 100% the meme of, unlike other mecha, Ava is about the characters. Surprise, surprise! Every mecha is about the characters.
yeah, that's like I remember you talking about that before. It's kind of like a dumb like generalization to make, for people that have only watched Evangelion and no other mech shows kind of before it, or not too many. I actually was hearing about that recently, that Ava does have that same problem as Gurren Lagann, where people will watch it and not go and watch all of the things it's been influenced by or homaging from in it. They won't go back. They'll just kind of like the show and then that's it.
If I say the words "get a robo" to somebody who's like only a Gurren Lagann fan, they'll probably only have heard of it and would never have seen it. It's just you know, because Gainax as a studio was built off of otaku who are like fans of all these different properties. They were creating all this stuff based off of the things they love. But the problem was people who came after watching their works only knows their works, and those works ended up being the most popular in the anime community. So now we have people thinking those are like the definitive aspects of those shows. Gurren Lagann's the only mecha I need to watch. Evangelion's the only mecha I need to watch, when it's like, no.
They treat it as the pinnacle or the culmination of all of it. It's like, oh, well, I have the ultimate experience here. What do I need to go back? I was actually I think I was the same, because I was never motivated to go back and watch any of the other mech shows. Because I just, again, it's a meme. I liked Evangelion not for the mechs, but for the character interactions, the therapy sessions, and all of that stuff. That's what interested me about it. I wasn't really interested too much in the robot aspect. But if I looked more at those other shows as being more about, it's also about the characters, maybe I'd probably go about it differently.
Well, the most interesting aspect of most mecha shows when you watch a lot of them are the characters. Like Eureka 7's like what came after both of them. Like, it's a good show because of Renton and Eureka, where they're like they're romance together, where they like both eventually grow up. That's the whole point of that show. We have Get a Robo, which is about evolution. It's the same thing as Gurren Lagann, is evolution, watching these different pilots, and they all like pilot different iterations of Get a Robo, and how them fighting against the evil is all eventually going to lead to the destruction of the universe if they keep allowing the power to grow, but they have to keep fighting. Things like that. Like, I feel like it's such a misconception, because it's the same. You can say the same thing for mostly any genre. Unlike other shonen battle series, this one's about the characters. Unlike other romance series, this one's about the characters. It's just like a thing where it's like, like, characters are part of the story, so obviously they're going to be about the characters.
Right. So what would you say Ava does differently, if anything? If not,
Ava is unlike. It's like the one thing it does unlike other things is like, if the point of the point of Evangelion is you cannot accept the love of others until you first accept yourself. Specifically, accept yourself, because not loving specifically, because that comes if you don't first accept your own existence.
Yeah, you can't love yourself if you don't accept yourself.
Yeah,
it's one step before the other. And Evangelion really, really, hones on that. That's pretty much the whole show. That's the whole message. That's everything it's trying to build up to, and it's we've talked about this. It spends so long on it because self-acceptance isn't easy. It's a very like mundane kind of back and forth frustrating process that takes the whole show for Evangelion. But you know, I don't know. I feel like, so what you'd say is that it does different is, well, it's also self-acceptance and also kind of speaking out against escapism, but that goes hand in hand with the self-acceptance.
Yeah, that does goes in hand with it. It's
instead of trying to escape your problems, you need to kind of accept that you have those problems, right?
Yeah, it's you have to confront them, which is part of accepting yourself. It's like basically the best way I could describe this, and I think I said this to you, but it's like if ReZero stopped at episode 8 and that was just the show. When Rem gives the speech and Subaru says, "I'm gonna try to be the hero that you like, that you love."
Yeah.
And then the show just ends. That would be Ava. But then Ava then made another movie to reiterate that point, and they made a trilogy of movies to continue to reiterate that point.
Yeah. I feel like, well, actually for ReZero on episode 8 or episode 18. Are we talking about episode 8? Like
episode
when he
18.
first, okay, episode 18. Because he that is the first point he actually accepts himself. So
yeah, that's the first he tries. Because Ava is the first step. It's the first step towards trying to. It's not like he does accept himself.
It's not like he succeeds. It's that he sees the possibility. And like it's like I can be someone different. I can do these things. When the whole show he's been telling himself, I can't. Evangelion, the whole show is I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't. I just can't. And then the end is like, I can. And that's it. It's just literally that realization.
Yeah, that's it. It's another thing. Mr. Love Live here is gonna, and you haven't gotten to it yet. Actually, have you? How far?
No. Like I told you, I'm gonna start part 2 this week of Love Live.
Okay,
Sunshine.
then I can't say my example then because my example is like.
Oh, I'm gonna be ready for you next week. I'll be ready.
Yeah, I can't say my example. I'm trying to think of another one. Oh yeah, it's like if a Gurren Lagann stopped at episode 11.
Do you want me to play Start Dash again?
No. Stop.
So what was your example? It's like for Gurren Lagann?
For Gurren Lagann, if it stopped at episode 11, when Nia tells him you'll never be like your bro, but you can only be you, and he's like, oh, okay, then he does the epic speech.
Yeah.
Even then, you can even argue that like it stops right when he makes the epic speech, and then the show just ends. That would be what Ava is, and it's like that's kind of the point of the show.
Well, it's not in Ava. It's not an epic speech. It's an epic therapy session, or for some people, disappointing therapy session. What I think we have to talk about the TV ending. What thoughts? Like, actually, beforehand, when you first watched Ava, what did you think of the TV ending? And now, like, what did you think about it? Was it any different before then?
I thought, damn, this is a nice video essay about the point of Evangelion. And then I rewatch it and I go, damn, this is a nice video essay of Neon Genesis Evangelion, but it's also like 2 of the best episodes of the show. It's like,
why?
Because it is just a therapy session where they're just explaining the point, but it's also just emotional in the way it does it. And it's only that. Maybe it's because I am free from dumb robot shit. I'm like, finally, this therapy session that I've always wanted. It's like, yeah. But that's like, I really like the way they go about it and they lead up to it. And it gives me the line. There's a thing I've referred to as a what the what moment now, where it's like, if it hits me, it's going to make me cry like a baby every time. And it's just other people telling you that you're the only one that sees yourself as worthless. Yeah. Where it's just like, it's Nia telling Simon that he'll never be his bro. It's Rem telling Subaru that, that's the only Subaru that you can see as yourself, but you don't know the one I know.
Yeah. And it's so like an eye-opening thing. Like when I've never had a problem with the TV ending, probably because I've told you this. I watched the end of Evangelion first than anything, so I kind of knew what that was. So I don't know if that affected my experience. And I know most people were disappointed with going from like episode 24 and everything that happened to just, okay, we're not addressing anything that's happening in the actual world, none of the lore, none of the actual plot. It's kind of like this thing. And it's like, when I've rewatched it a few times, it's like, it was always about Shinji, always from the beginning. Everything in Evangelion, for the most part, is kind of like a distraction. from that. But at the end of the day, it's always about Shinji's feelings with himself, and how that extends to other people. And then those final 2 episodes, yes, but they don't feel like, for some fans, that they do give closure to the story. It gives closure to Shinji's journey. At least, it makes him, it's eye opening for him, but it makes him finally confront what he's been running away from for 24 episodes, 25, 24, the episodes beforehand.
I mean, yeah, because like there is the objective fact that that the last 2 episodes are the way they are because of like different like production issues, but also that EOE is what the literal aspect of what the literal perception of what the last 2 episodes are. Like it's literally like it's the last 2 episodes of Ava are basically just like it wraps up the show in terms of like how it is like the core, the theme of the series, the emotional aspect of it, where it's just the characters like ending out their arcs,
and it's more positive. It ends more on a positive note, like that there is hope.
And I'll give my funny analogy in a bit. Well, you just asked me about my thoughts on when you ask me about what I think about the rebuilds. I'll give you my funny.
No, we'll get there. We'll get there. I actually, just to let you know, I rewatched 2.0 on 5 times speed right before this, and 3.0 on like I had to go. I was going between 5 times speed and 3 times speed, so I rewatched 2.0 and 3.0 just so I'd be fresh on them.
Unlucky.
Yeah, no. I'll give you my thoughts on those. And
you had to see Mari Makanami at 5 times speed. That's unfortunate.
No, it was cool. It was cool because it went quick, so I didn't have to experience it too much.
I didn't have to see her for longer than a second.
I only slowed down for the important scenes, like the piano scene in 3.0. Like I had to slow down for that one. I went to 2 times speed. So back to the TV ending. Yeah, a lot of fans were mad at the TV ending, and actually, it's funny. It's like not confirmed. Like when I was again doing a lot of research for my Ava video, trying to like read all these interviews and stuff. Like I heard from other sources like that worked with Anno that it wasn't just like budget issues. Because I grew up like hearing like, oh, it was budget issues. So I'm like, oh, that's it. But then when I went to actually look into it, they were also saying that Anno like didn't know what he wanted for most of Ava, obviously. But like he kind of had an outline. But in the last 4 episodes, he kind of threw those out the window, like got some idea and started furiously rewriting everything. And because I told you this, the biggest priority for Anno since like episode 12, according to the sources that I read, and you can go confirm these for yourself, is he was trying to find a way to make Shinji or like smile, but like in an organic way. Like what would make him smile? Like by the end of it, like how could he make Shinji happy? And by episode 20, or when he was getting to that point, he couldn't figure it out. He felt like the way it was going, he wasn't gonna get that result, and so he was just rewriting everything. And that was putting the staff like kind of on overtime, like trying to keep up and trying to, because he kind of scrapped all those what they had planned, and that's why episodes 25 and 26 ended up like they ran out of time, essentially.
Yeah, I've heard that too. That's what it's just that Anno was writing as he went. I've heard that thing over and over again. I've actually heard that as a criticism of the show, saying that because it was written at the seat of his pants, it's therefore like it doesn't mean anything. He just wrote it as he went, and therefore it's bad. I've heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and he has been quoted saying like his wording was he thought all of Evangelion the production as like a live band session, kind of just like just having like a session where you don't know what's coming out and just feeling it out pretty much as you go. I did watch that he had a documentary thing of when he was making, I forgot what that film was called after Evangelion. It was like a live action film called I forgot the name.
Are you talking about? I don't know if it's Re Cutie Honey that you're thinking of.
No, like an actual live action film, like because he did some 2 live action films after, like I think he left his and her circumstances and was done with Evangelion. But anyways, long story short, it doesn't matter the name, but he basically like all the actors and actresses in it were like frustrated with him because he wasn't sure of what he wanted. So he kept redoing shots like all day and making them kind of redo stuff because he just wasn't satisfied. And he would even say it himself, like, I just kind of have a feeling for what I want, but I don't know exactly. So I have to kind of keep seeing it until I get it. So that kind of informed me of like sort of his process and how Evangelion came about. Yeah.
Yeah. Blue Knight also said that there's a scene that I've heard this too. There's a scene that was cut out because it represented a real life tragedy when Ava was coming out.
Oh, you're talking about I don't think a scene was maybe, what was that called? The gas attacks that were like the terrorist attack that happened in Japan, like in 95. Is that what it was? I don't know if like,
so.
I know like they delayed, like, I think they delayed an episode, I think, for Evangelion because of that happened around the same time. And I heard Anna was influenced by that. And that's why like sort of the tone for the second half of Evangelion sort of changed.
Yeah.
But that's all kind of speculation. I think that's the stuff with Evangelion that is kind of, there aren't any like too many confirmations on it. And you kind of have to take bits and pieces and kind of figure out.
It's kind of why, like, I personally, when I talk about things, just kind of avoid like looking into the thought, like, because there is stuff to be taken from the original creator. I avoid doing it because a lot of times, unless it's directly confirmed by interviews, I just kind of like don't want to make assumptions about like anything that was done. I just kind of I just try to take the thing for what it is, and as it is, like the last 2 episodes are like a good, wrapping up in terms of like the emotional core of the series and giving you the point of the series to the point where they tell you the point, like the entire episode in word form.
I mean, how did you feel about that aspect of Evangelion? You were telling me how basically a lot of fans, and we could talk about this now, that they say, Evangelion, you can interpret it any way you want, kind of thing, but you're kind of like saying like, no, the message was kind of spelled out for you all along. There's one message. There's one clear answer. It's not up for interpretation.
I'm about to pull a Ben Shapiro and say facts don't care about your feelings, but like the show is Evangelion is not exactly the most subtle in terms of when it's trying to get its point across, because it kind of just tells you. Like in the episode Hedgehog's Dilemma, not only do they define for you what Hedgehog's Dilemma is, not only is the episode titled Hedgehog's Dilemma, not only do they diagnose Shinji with Hedgehog's Dilemma, they then point out how that ties to the meaning of his character in dialogue form. So like, it's just like Ava to me, even when I was watching, I think that was originally frustrating for me, because like when you're in the anime community and you hear about Ava, because there was like a long period of time where I didn't watch Ava just because like I didn't feel like it, but I kept hearing about it from everybody that I knew and like all throughout the community. It was like, it's this super deep show. It'll change the way you view anime. Oh, it's full of deep, meaningful symbolism, and it's like it's so confusing and you don't know what it means. And then you watch it and the characters tell you the point of the show the entire time, and you're like, but is this what people were so confused about?
Well, like I was telling you, I think because when they're saying that, they're not distinguishing between like, I think the things that are whether purposely, intentionally or unintentionally, there are so many things in Ava in terms of jargon, visuals, imagery, and it really like hammers in all this imagery. But at the end of the day, when you watch the last 2 episodes of Evangelion, none of that stuff mattered. It was like, this was all just noise. Like this was all just like, you literally just had to be paying attention to Shinji's introspection scenes where he's talking to Rei kind of on the train, or like just pay attention to what he's saying in terms of the subtitles and the context and kind of how he's feeling. And they're kind of hammering in that he has to either confront himself or, take accountability for his own actions and not be like hypocritical. And that's kind of it. Like if you pay attention to that,
Yeah, if you pay attention to the points, you will get the point.
Like, and I think that's why Ano was, angry, or at least he didn't like it, like that people missed that point, that they're too at least from interviews that I've seen, that they're too concerned with getting answers to what all the other nitty gritty like things that like what did the angel thing mean? What did not what the angel thing, but like things that were in the story, like what was Zele's plans? What were they trying to do here? What was going on with Third Impact? Like kind of the lore and getting caught up in that. And that is he's really good at that. He's really good at making this labyrinth of imagery and symbolism, but that wasn't his priority. It was just kind of there.
So something I've noticed, and like, which is why like now when I say these things, it's like I kind of expect people to not get shows, is because they don't only look at what it is they want. A show could be as obvious as like anything, and people still either won't get it because they only want to take out of it what they take out of it. So, for example, I use this. We have Naruto with Rock Lee versus Gaara, where
I love that fight.
people assert that because of this fight, Naruto is now about hard work beats talent. Because they cite, and the biggest example they have is they cite Rock Lee versus Gaara. Now, the reason they say this is because Rock Lee as a character talks about all the hard work he had to do to train because he couldn't use jutsu, but like he trained and fought so he could prove that ninja could fight using only taijutsu. Like that was the entire thing, his character, and he's fighting against Gaara, who is like the embodiment at that point in the arc, aside from Neji, as being like hard, like, you know, talent, pure talent. He doesn't even like flex a muscle when he fights people. He could just stand there and slaughter you. And like they fight, and then Rock Lee like fights and like does really well against Gaara. But when like the easy way to realize that hard work beats talent isn't the point is to say that Rock Lee lost that fight and like got brutalized by Gaara, and it wasn't. And Gaara got beat not by anyone with hard work, but because of Naruto using the tailed beast. So like aside from that, there's also in the same scene when Kakashi is like, "Yo, this kid learning the eight gates at his age is not just hard work. This kid has talent." Like he says that, and there's even like a Boruto guide now where you see it. And they spell out for you that Rock Lee is a genius of taijutsu. So it's like you could spell that out as much as you want, but people aren't going to pay attention to that because they hear Rock Lee say the word hard work once, and they think, oh, Naruto is about hard work, and that they garner only that from it. It's like when it's just like people see Bleach. Bleach abandoned its theme of grief because I read into the beginning part this, so that must mean that's what it is, even though it's not. And like, first of all, it never abandons it, but that's not the entire main point. So with Ava, people will watch the show, and that's why getting the robot Shinji's become such a meme, because people are there to see, like, a lot of the wider anime fan base is there to see big robots punch people, like dumb robot shit. And when they don't get that, and they get therapy sessions, and then they get episodes 25 and 26 that literally spell out the point to you, they're like, hold on, what about the dumb robot shit? What is the mystery? Where are the aliens coming from? And it's like, it doesn't matter. It straight up doesn't matter. I think even 25 and 26, they say it doesn't matter.
It never mattered, you know.
So I'm like, but they don't care. They're like, oh, it has to matter because death of the author, and I wanted this. It's like, well, no. If there's an obvious point that's literally spelled out for you, provably there, you can not like that, but it's there. You can't tell me it's not.
Yeah, I guess like you can not like that, and you're free to not like that, but then you can't take it out on the show because the show didn't bend to your will and, you know, do what you wanted. If the show had like poor execution or something that it purposely didn't do it right, then okay. But if the show kind of did what it was kind of pointing out to you from the beginning, you kind of can't blame it for getting distracted with the cool robot stuff and the cross-shaped explosions and, you know, the other stuff that was kind of secondary and just there. So, right?
Yeah, Ava Discourse is such a mess because the conversation is like full of people on both sides who don't understand it. The conversation is just terrible because like people say, oh, the Christian symbolism is just so beautiful. It's talking about existentialism and it's debunking religion or something. And I gotta
tell you honestly about that. Growing up, like when I first was exposed to Ava, one of the aspects that drew me to it was the religious symbolism and the cross-shaped explosions. And then like I thought that was so cool. What is it trying to say? It's incorporating elements of Judaism and the Kabbalah. Like, what does this all mean? And that was all like really like fun to dig into. But then when you find out that like Ano didn't mean anything by it, he just thought it was cool, so he just threw it in. I'm like, oh, that's disappointing.
But like, yeah, but so like, that's the argument that people like hate Ava would use. Then they're like, see, because he said that, nothing means anything. It's all just whatever. But like, the symbolism does mean something because it still applies to the main point. If you look at how like the way it's used, it's people relying on an outside
Yes.
mystical source instead of relying on themselves. It's still just the main point.
What we're trying to distinguish here is like, it doesn't matter like if it's fucking Lilith, Adam, if it's this god or this religion or that religion, it's using as symbols. The point is it's using the concept of God, like or external sources to stand in, you know, like Shinji relying on the Ava being his mom sort of, and him kind of like clinging to that maternal figure or clinging to Rei or clinging to other people throughout the other show to keep trying to escape from himself instead of confronting himself. So whatever it is, it just shows up in so many different characters, so many different forms, which is whether, you know, Kaoru as Adam or Rei, and again, the angels, all of that. That's all these figures, but that doesn't matter because what matters is what's inside. So, you know, that's why the last 2 episodes essentially take place in Shinji's head.
You know what's funny is that like now that I think about it, it's like the entire show is like this. It's like this kid at a theme. It's like this kid's like, but what about this? And it's like, doesn't matter. What about this? Doesn't matter. I don't like that. Doesn't matter.
Just accept yourself, man. So, you know, I think we're on the same page that I really liked the last 2 episodes. I think the congratulations scene is, you know, memed to hell, but it's nice when it actually hits you in context. It's like, oh, hey, you know,
it's top 2 Ava scenes, bro. Like,
I just wanted him to be freaking happy. It's like, you know, finally just, you know, take that step forward. You know, even if you fall and you scrape your knee, but you know, you get back up, you keep going. It's the whole thing with Evangelion, the whole show, the whole structure was this stopping and starting, you know, starting again, and then I quit, you know, as opposed to, okay, I did wrong, but I accept myself, so I can keep going, even if it doesn't work out.
There is an argument to be like, if you're depressed, you can understand Shinji more, because there is an argument to be made where it's like, when you're depressed, you just can't do things. Like, as much as you want to, as much as you know that you're supposed to, you just can't. Like, your body won't let you. Like, you just feel helpless. Like, even though you like, people tell you that you're better than you are, you don't physically you don't believe them. Something within you just denies that idea. Like, you just like, it's not something you can necessarily like control. So there is an argument to be made that while not liking Ava doesn't make you a sociopath, but you're more likely to understand it or sympathize with it if you also feel the same thing, are in a similar emotional state that Shinji's in.
Yeah, whether you're in a similar emotional state or you've had similar struggles, I think even there, I think, you know, it definitely helps more if you're in that state. But what's that criticism you told me about that people have said, and I don't know if you agree with it, that Ava is a bad representation of mental health?
That's what I've heard, and I remember hearing that back when I was like going off, like really going off and hating Ava, and someone with mental health was telling me that. And one of my guys on my server also like said that while he also experienced the same thing, he didn't like Ava, how it approached it. And I think it has more so to do with how negatively it portrays it and how like cynical it is. Because I would understand watching it would just make you feel worse. And because it's fiction, it kind of has to like abstract it and not do it completely justice, right? Like, not as realistic as possible.
Yeah.
So like there comes the argument of like, you know, this literally wouldn't happen if they had like, you know, a therapist, which in lore they did that on purpose
I mean,
it is.
I'm pretty sure Nerve could have afforded to have a
No, they did
therapist
it
in
on purpose.
house on site, you know, if they really wanted to.
There
But
was
I'm
like a there's like a lot of lines. There's like literally a line where it's like this fucks them up mentally, right? And it's like, yeah, do it anyway.
no. Yeah. Gendo's like, Fuyutsuki's like, sir, we can get a therapist on here. It's like, no, Fuyutsuki, that's not part of the plan. Okay, that's not part of the plan.
It's not part of the plan.
Don't mention it ever again. We must break them.
We must break the children.
Yeah, break the cutie.
It's like,
um, go on.
yeah, it's that, and it's like I under like back then because I personally growing up again. I grew up with that mindset of like, oh, if you're feeling bad, just work until you like don't feel bad anymore. Just push past it.
Yeah.
Which is why like when I first watched Good and Logon, for example, I thought like, oh yeah, you just got to push past despair. That'll be worth it. But then you like when you feel that and you realize that doesn't work out, you rewatch both Ava and Gurren Lagann, where it's like Ava, you realize that, oh yeah, you can't just work past it. There has to be another step first before you can take the next step. You can't just. But and then with Gurren Lagann, the whole point of it wasn't that, oh yeah, he just pushed past his despair. If you just keep flexing your muscles, eventually the depression will go away. Where in reality, it was just like, just acknowledge that you're weak, and then
like I think there's so like I think that what makes it hard is that there's like this sense of shame, like kind of admitting to yourself, like it hurts that, oh, I'm weak, or I was born in this way that I can't stack up, or I'm lesser, or whatever. And there's that whole feeling of it makes it hard to admit that, to acknowledge that this is what it is. But as soon as you
acknowledge it,
you have a chance at working to make it better, and kind of like as soon as you're fine with something, we're like, okay, yeah, I am this way. Now what can I do? Like now how can I get to work to make up for it, or use my strength in a different way to do that, to like work around my issues, or improve myself to achieve whatever goal I want to achieve.
I think what it is I think what it is that people don't like how Ava doesn't tell you what to do after you accept yourself, like doesn't give you the next step. And it's like, I can see that, but it's not the point of the show. So it's like,
I also think that possibly like Ano didn't really have that answer, because he felt, and he didn't want to give that answer because he felt, again, according to what I've read, that he wants everyone to find their own answer, because it is a personal, unique answer. It's like, okay, I accept myself, but what now? Well, you have to figure that out for yourself. Everyone's kind of different. You have your own unique skill set / weaknesses, and it's gonna look differently, and it's okay that it looks differently. I think what is hard sometimes, and I experienced this myself, is like I think that I want to do it like this guy, or I want to kind of have the same sort of story, or maybe I should do it this way, but it's never that clear cut. And even the people you're looking to for as examples, they'll just tell you like, well, you got to do what works for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that thing that you're trying to do. Like, just because it works for them and it doesn't work for you, or you can't make it work for you, that's okay.
And I think that's where the confusion comes with the last 2 episodes, because there is a line I remember saying where it's like, you have to formulate your own answer. And when people see that, they immediately jump to, oh, Hideaki Anno is saying that it can mean anything you want it to mean. When in reality, he's just saying, stop listening to the words of other people to tell yourself what to do. Just figure it out for yourself, what you need to do, which is, again, tied to the main theme. Just accept yourself.
And you'll never figure out that answer if you don't engage the world, because the whole thing is, at the end, is essentially go outside.
Go outside. It's Hideaki Anno telling you to go outside.
It's accept yourself, and the next step, get this right, is go outside. Accept yourself and go outside.
Pick up a football, dumb bitch, and go outside.
Yeah. Like, or whether it's sports or whatever. But the point is, you can't keep yourself hidden, because where the trouble comes in, I think personally, with accepting yourself isn't like, okay, I'm sitting in a room, okay, I accept myself, great, I'm cool. Now we're good. It's where it becomes hard to accept yourself is when you engage with other people, when you see something they have and you don't have, or maybe, I don't know, they kind of, you don't feel like you want to be a certain way in a group, and you're not stacking up to it, and that makes you feel bad about yourself. And that's what makes it hard to accept yourself, the comparisons to other people, or whatever it is that you're lacking in your social interaction with other people. Like, you want to connect with them, but something about you doesn't let you. And that's what makes self-acceptance hard. It's not just, I can self-accept myself. Like, it is a process that you have to obviously like introspect and decide within yourself, but it's not divorced from reality, and it's not divorced from other people. It's completely like works in line with that.
Yeah. I think that's where the issue comes from, because like, I don't know if you've seen Pause and Select's video on like understanding disaster, where he talks about Ava and how there was like there was a shift, and how moe culture, a lot of it was grown from fans of Neon Genesis Evangelion, like becoming obsessed with it.
I didn't know that.
There, I'm not sure on the specifics. I have to actually rewatch the video, like rewatch his Moephobia video again.
Yeah, link that to me after, and I'll check it out. Sounds interesting. And like did he actually like document that? Like, does he have like actual evidence like pointing to that?
Oh,
like,
Joe is one of the only. I think he is one of the only people in all of Anituber who actually cites a source.
Well, I'm just double checking, because the only video I've watched from him, funny enough, is the one that's called "Cite Your Shit, People."
Yeah,
that's the only video I've watched from him. Because I was recently, I was working on something, and I was like, okay, should I cite like what I'm kind of looking up? Like, is that what's the proper thing here?
Yeah.
So, okay, so yeah, I'll have to check that out. But what did you? So that kind of concludes your thoughts on Evangelion, the show. What one last thing? What kept it from being like an 8? Why 7? Is it just because it didn't emotionally resonate with you as much? Got it.
Yeah, as much as it could. Yeah, because like at an 8 is where it's like yeah, it really gets me. It really, like, I'm actually like kind of thinking back, moving back and forth between thinking about moving it to an 8, but like then I realized that the literal only time it made me elicit an emotion that was enough to make me like get, because like cry was the very end, when it pulled the moment that always will make me cry. So I'm like, the rest of it, I was like mostly straight faced for the rest of the show, but I felt that like, yeah, this is good show.
Yeah, no, I love the rawness of kind of Evangelion, and the characters being so flawed, and kind of like not hiding that, and you kind of just seeing that all out in the open, that they're unlikable. And I think that in itself, besides the emotional moment, is what brings it up for me, because again, a lot of people, just to finish up the point about the original series, a lot of people have that shame about not being able to show their emotions, or kind of being told like, just work past it, like kind of like just work past the despair, whatever. But they can't acknowledge that it's okay sometimes to be weak and to have moments of vulnerability, and that's fine, and that is okay. And no one ever really says that, but you have to kind of realize that yourself. And that's what I like about Evangelion, that it confronts that by showing the characters at their worst, and that's what obviously brings it up for me a lot. But I feel like I feel like you do really get that catharsis. You don't get it as much you do a little bit in the TV ending, but I think End of Evangelion, the movie, is all about that. all about the anger, the negativity, the cynicalness, the I want to talk about ugly.
Yeah.
It's all in the End of Evangelion, which you found to be inferior. You gave it a 5, so we got to talk about it.
But first, I want to say, I'm gonna bring back the analogy. So it brings me back to the point I made with bringing up Joe's video, where it's like a lot of Ava fans, like in Japan, otaku in Japan, latched onto Ava, became obsessed with it, and even though Anna was telling them to go outside, they said, "No, Ano, I bought your figures and I'm staying inside." So now now EOE is like, okay. And now he's saying the same point, but he's yelling it at you. He's like, "Go outside, I swear to God, go outside. Pick up a football, you fucking nerd."
He's like, this is what you wanted. You wanted an actual ending. Okay, all right, yeah. This is what actually happens if you take characters, Shinji, for example, who have been like through the ringer for the entirety of the series, and this is what organically happens when you keep pushing him. This is the worst version of himself. And actually, like that's an argument that I've heard, that the TV ending, was a natural progression for Shinji because. He was going. It ended with him on a positive kind of note, and he was kind of growing and becoming better towards the end. But End Evangelion seemed like it backtracked on that character development, and just for some reason just made him worse, more negative, more inactive.
Yeah, I think the issue is people see that, they say that, but they don't realize that all 25 and 26 are just what happens during Third Impact. They don't. Or during human instrumentality. They don't realize...
That's a theory.
I mean, it's basically what it is, because they show the same scenes, and it literally is just what happens. And it reaches this... It's the same story beats that happen when he's inside the giant ray.
I mean, I agree with the theory, but it's like... It's not like it's one of those, you can interpret it however you want kind of things.
I mean, it's literally the only thing stopping it from being like 100%. Like real, just basically the truth is Ano literally coming out and being like, "It's what happened."
But like, why didn't? Because I feel like End Evangelion is obviously with a ton of more crap, a ton of more visual distraction,
dumb robot shit.
And this is coming from someone who actually really really loves the End Evangelion, probably more than the OG series, or maybe on par. Why? Like, it's essentially the same message. It's the same message as the TV ending, albeit in a more negative, bittersweet kind of way. Why didn't it click with you? What bothered you?
So the whole point of the movie is make you feel uncomfortable, right? A lot of it's I don't like the horror movie genre.
I don't either, by the way.
Because I find it hilarious. Things that are supposed to make me uncomfortable in media I end up just kind of laughing at. It's so like when the movie opens up with Shinji locking the doors behind him in the hospital room, and like you can hear the fucking voice actor moaning and shit as he's doing it. I'm like, bruh. Yeah.
You're like, are you for real right now? Are you guys doing this?
I was like, damn, this is really happening right now. And they did it. I was like, oh yeah, there he is. And like the movie's full of that, right? Where it's like Ray gets naked, and then on like a freaking Gendo like takes his dirty, nasty hand that has the stuff on it and grabs her titty. And I'm like, damn, no, he's not. Oh, he is.
Oh, he's doing it. It's that movie. It's we're going all in. Ano's like, yeah, this is what you wanted. This is what happened.
And then like the Avas like have Ray's face, and they stab themselves and they make moaning noises. And then vaginas appear on giant Ray's hands. And then a vagina appears on her forehead. And then Shinji inside the cross stabs the vagina, goes inside penetration. I'm like, guys,
it's a very sexual movie.
I'm like, guys, it's like sex, guys. And like everyone's moaning and shit, and I'm like, oh my god.
You know what's funny actually about that? I have to detour for like a tiny bit because I just flashed back. So I've watched the End Evangelion a ton of times in my life, but I think the most interesting experience of watching End Evangelion is in my anime club in high school. I showed all of them Evangelion, but for the last movie. For the End Evangelion, we didn't have like our usual club room like booked for that day. So we were like, crap, where do we show it? How do we watch it? And like this, the geometry teacher, like from like one of the other buildings said like, yeah, you could just have it here. And then he's like in the back, like playing like chess with like one of the other students. And then the End Evangelion's like playing on the projector on the screen the whole time. And it just gets to the towards the end with Ray kind of joined with like Shinji and kind of all of that going on, and you just hear from the back, he's just like, what the fuck? What is that? And we were just like, we can't explain, just keep it playing, just kept it playing. Kept it playing.
Like it's just like a lot of it, maybe it's also just because it's been memed to death, and also like It All Returns to Nothing has also been memed to death. But that song playing in the background as human instrumentality is happening is so funny to me now that it's like a meme and it's just playing. And I think it's been ruined for me because it's playing and I'm like the entire time like, oh man, like I know this is supposed to be really uncomfortable and sad, but as everyone's like making moaning noises and everyone turns into orange juice, I'm like, man, this is pretty funny.
I mean, I didn't find it funny, but maybe again, I process things differently from you.
I guess I
I
just
mean, it
didn't
is
find
it
it
is uncomfortable. I find it uncomfortable. I find it like but I could see how like you'd see it as funny too.
yeah, because
It's
I,
out
I
there.
personally didn't find it uncomfortable because I was just like, I don't find it uncomfortable more so I just find it kind of like, oh, he's really doing this. Okay.
Yeah.
He do be moaning though.
But I think like the whole thing with because a lot of fans find the end of Evangelion to be the true ending, the true canon, as opposed to the original TV ending. They thought that was, that was a blip on the radar. That was a mistake. We don't talk about that. The real ending is the end of Evangelion. So I think that either that criticism or that take where, oh, it's up to interpretation, what happened kind of comes from the end of Evangelion, because there's just a lot of symbolism and stuff.
I just want to let you know on my end, your camera's gone.
Oh no, my camera died. It died.
Oh,
So
fun.
yeah, so it just died. But we can keep talking. It's cool. You guys don't need to see my face.
That's unfortunate.
But I think most of that comes from the end of Evangelion, because again, it has all this visual imagery, all of this stuff that doesn't really have an explanation. And I think, and people are trying to kind of piece that together and understand that besides looking at the main point of it, which is the same, that's where that take comes from. We're like, oh, you can, it's up to interpretation.
I've found that if you like a lot of symbolism and shit, if you just look at the main point, the symbolism that seems like it could mean anything, then just like, oh yeah, now I know what it is. It's the point. Because like a lot of that is just in line with the point of the show. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So EOE, my thing with it, right, is that again, my favorite part of Ava is the therapy sessions. Like there's small parts in the beginning that I actually like, where it's like when Misato and Shinji are alone and they're talking, like, there's the moment they have. There's also my favorite part is unironically the part where they're in real life and they're doing all this stuff in real life. Like I like that part a lot in the OE.
In EOE, did you hear that there was a whole scene that you can find that was cut out from EOE where it was like a longer version of a real life Misato, Rei, and Asuka, and like uncomfortable scenes of like just them kind of.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, that exists. That was deleted, but it exists. Out there.
You know what it is? That scene is also really funny to me because like I know the point of it.
It's
but like
go outside, but like literally, let's splice in live action so I can spell out the point for you.
No, but what's funny is was a part where you just see people cosplaying as Asuka, Misato, and Rei, and like I'm sitting there looking at that, and I'm like, could you imagine like these people are just walking around and these three are just standing in the middle of the street?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's got to be awkward. But
It's
actually,
funny.
it's probably not as awkward. It's probably accepted.
Yeah.
But actually one of my favorite parts, I don't know. I'm a geek for all the symbolism. Like one of my favorite parts about the end of Evangelion, when I understood it later, was the whole when Anno shows the audience and then he shows the empty audience, kind of like to get them to,
Go
like
outside.
to see themselves. Like you're watching this, and this is what it would be if you didn't exist, or whatever. I don't know. And that whole sequence to me, I like it. But I think is the end of Evangelion is just an angry movie, and it's all about letting it all out emotionally. That breaking point, which you got a little bit in the OG series, but you didn't really get that.
What it is that like 25 and 26 take place during human instrumentality, and then but you know that human instrumentality isn't where EOE ends. There's like Shinji stops it, and then the movie keeps going for a little bit after the ending, because it's what happens after the self-acceptance. He ends up on the shore with Asuka, and notice that specifically Asuka, because Asuka is the one person who like blatantly rejected Shinji's when Shinji said, "I want someone to accept me or someone to love me." Asuka's the one who looked at him and said, "No,
Yeah.
nobody
No.
owes you anything." Yeah.
Yeah, no, that scene was powerful. I think what I like about Evangelion is that whole kind of people not accepting Shinji's bullshit and just calling him out. And Asuka's one of those few people. And again, his reaction was to kind of throw a tantrum and to choke her out.
Yeah. It's a common thing as you watch through Ava, but also in the rebuilds as we get to that later, that Asuka and Shinji's refusal to go accept her is contrasted with how he treats Rei, because Rei is a clone of his mom, the maternal aspect, but also the whole idea that Rei is meant to represent like a waifu, anime waifu.
Yeah, exactly. Like the docile kind of submissive, like ideal waifu. That was the point of Rei, sort of. And Asuka's not that. There's also some interpretations that have been said of, Shinji being the more feminine, one, and then it's like, what if you had a female character who was more masculine, and then that's the contrast between them, because Shinji wants to be more like the masculine type of character that could charge in or whatever, but he can't do that, and then and then Asuka has her own issues. And there is a lot of that actually in Evangelion. Like Misato's more masculine than Kaji. Kaji's has more feminine traits because he's more nurturing. For example, the garden and him like giving more, like being more understanding of Shinji and stuff like that. Also kind of might be a leap, but also Yui and Gendo. Yui's like, let me just charge in and just fuse with the Ava. I'll leave you behind. And Gendo's like, no, don't go. I'll sacrifice everything to just get you back, baby. And she's like, nope. I'm chilling here. I'm at 400% sync rate. I'm gonna, kind of do whatever I want with the universe and live on forever, like God. Yeah.
Yeah. What a simp. He literally like turned everybody into fucking like
Gendo, biggest simp. The OG.
Look, am
simp.
I wrong? Man's a fucking simp.
It's like this like at the end of everything, Shinji was like, this is all because you just couldn't stop being a simp, Dad. So basically, you just didn't enjoy the end of Evangelion mostly because, one, you couldn't take it seriously, and two, because
Dumb robot shit
it wasn't enjoyable. I mean, you didn't like the Asuka versus the mass Ava.
It's fine, but I'm like, knowing that she's gonna lose anyway, I'm just like, yeah, because like she's also just she's also just not understanding the point too. So it's just like it's her like being like, yeah, with my mommy by my side, I can fight everybody. And it's like, no, that's not what the AT field is. And that's not what.
I mean, it's that one moment that she finally felt like she realized her mom was there all along.
Yeah, like
it didn't work out because that's what happens when you get cocky. But at least she realized what was missing all along was just right there in front of her eyes. She was kind of just too blind to realize it, or too stuck in her own inferiority complex. So okay, yeah, no, I think I don't know. I really enjoyed End of Ava, but I wouldn't say visually it's obviously better than the TV ending, but in terms of its message and what they both accomplished, I don't really see one worse than the other. I think they're both.
I prefer the TV ending just personally.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't argue that one is vastly superior over the other, but I do love me my End of Evangelion.
Yeah.
Mainly because of all the visual symbolism. I think it's about that time though. Should we talk about the rebuild?
All right, fellas. So if Neon Genesis Evangelion is Hideaki Anno yelling at everybody to go out, it's like telling everybody to go outside, and EOE is him yelling that louder, go outside, pick up a football, you fucking fat nerd, and like and then like people looked at EOE and they were like, half the families were like, wow, this is really great. I'm gonna buy the figure and stay inside. And other fans were like, oh, this is terrible. It should have been like this and this and this and this. So Hideaki Anno said, all right, you know what? I'm gonna show you what happens when you don't go outside. I'm gonna show you how bad it's gonna be. I'm gonna ruin the thing that you like and just do a worse version of it. So he made 1.0 and 2.0 and was like, look, guys, Rei has a personality, has more personality now. She's submissive and wants to make Shinji like dinner
Happy.
and lunch. Oh, and she's happy too. Here's Asuka, and she's like a more modern tsundere, and she's cooking Shinji lunch. Look at that. Shinji's a Chad like Simon the Digger. Oh my god, look at that. Here's Mari Makanami, the worst character in the entire show. Here's like she's a parrot tits with glasses that screams all the time. Here's fucking the robot who's way faster.
Very colorful descriptions. What?
Yeah, and it's that, and it's like, and Anna goes like, "Isn't this what you want? Look how bad it is. Isn't this what you wanted?" And then the fan base went, "Yes, this is really good. I'm gonna buy the figure."
This is the Ava that I wanted. This is how it should have been. Actually, to like again, my mindset back then when I watched Ava, like it's different from where it is now. I thought one was boring. I didn't really enjoy 1.0. I wasn't really analyzing it. I know there's this whole theory about it, but again, for what it was, I'm like, this just feels like a recap with like, better animation. So that's nice. But 2.0, I really enjoyed because it felt like in Evangelion, what you wanted for Shinji was for him to see him finally like take that step, do something for himself and have a chance at happiness and kind of like, whatever. And so 2.0 finally felt like, okay, this is kind of like a chance to give Evangelion that happy ending and he's finally doing something for himself. So this is good. It's kind of like that. That's how I thought about it back then. So when I saw 3.0, I was just like, what the hell? Like, I don't even understand what's going on anymore. So, I think from someone that kind of came in with the expectations of Evangelion, the rebuilds are a way of redoing sort of, or finally giving Ava that happy ending or something, or make things right. If someone came into that with that perspective, that's why they'd be mad.
Yeah, like, okay, as someone who always didn't like Ava, even then, when I rewatched the rebuilds, I was like, shit, these are just the worst version of the thing I already don't like. So, like, 1.0, I hated because it was just recap. 2.0, I hated because it was the same thing, but also more obnoxious because, it's the point. And 3.0, I think I liked, I was just like, I'm done. Just gay piano, I get it. Please shut up. But, like, the point of the rebuilds, right, is that they take place after EOE.
Yeah. It's supposed to be just kind of like a reset of the universe, but it's the same universe.
Yeah,
like a rebirth. It's like the rebirth of kind of what happened at the end of EOE.
The sea is red. Why is Adam in the basement and not Lilith? What's going on? Because those are the first two things they introduce in 1.0 that make you immediately realize that something's wrong. Because Misato immediately shows Shinji that not only is that there an angel in the basement, but that it's not Lilith, but it's Adam. Not only that, Lilith is on the moon with Kaoru.
Yeah.
And the splatter from Giant Ray's neck splitting open is still on the moon. So like it just takes place after EOE because Shinji rewrote the universe and gave into escapism. And now he's trying to, because there's all these things now. Like after he almost kills Asuka, he gets in 1.0 and starts stomping on, the nerve headquarters. It's like, stop being a bunch of dicks, Dad. Stop it. Yeah. And like
I was rewatching again 2.0 and I didn't catch all the little details. It was 5 times speed. So, but while I was going through, I was like, oh, okay. So they're really like spelling everything out, like kind of that happened in Evangelion, like, but even more so in 2.0. I did catch, I didn't remember the detail you were saying about Asuka now plays with the doll. And I was like looking at it, I was like, oh, okay. That kind of takes away a lot of her characterization.
Like the whole point of her.
It's like she doesn't, I don't know if it's, I don't think it was confirmed, but I think like basically she didn't have that trauma anymore. She doesn't have that in this version of it. She doesn't have like that whole issue with her mom, or at least not the same thing that she had
Yeah,
with in
she's
the
an
original
entirely
series.
different character because now she's Asuka Langley Shikinami instead of
Yeah,
Asuka Lang
it's
Tori.
Asuka without the baggage, sort of. She's still like herself, like opinionated and wants to be the best and all that stuff, but
But she
she's
also blushes and makes
but
Shinji blush.
she has an easier. She's more like okay, so like what she is in 2.0 is more like a stereotypical tsundere.
Yeah,
Like
like
she's
what you
just
would envision like a typical one to be. Yeah,
yeah, she cares about people. She can connect with them. Whereas in the OG series, she had that blockage where she could not. Like she just like that. Her inferiority complex, her issues were too strong. And here it's like, oh no, I just I don't need to be with others. I just but I care about them, and then that's it. And then in all the scenes again, it's what I noticed was it was spelling things out. Like when she lays on the bed with Shinji this time, he's like, oh, I just wanted to get praise from my father and all that, and
yeah, that scene. I was like, please stop,
it's
please
like
stop.
they're literally maybe it was because of the speed I was watching it in, but I'm like they're literally just
No,
laying
they're
it all out.
literally just laying it all out. It's like the rebuilds are even more handholdy, and I was like, please make it stop, stop ruining it. And then Mari Makanami descends from the sky, and I was like, no, get it away, no.
Yeah, no. I don't even get why Mari is there.
Well, there's a reason why.
Her characterization is kind of been really, really like minimal. But we could talk about it. But again, with again, Mari didn't make much of a big impact on my viewing experience. She was just kind of there. But in 2.0, again, Asuka's nicer to Rei. She's not nicer to everyone. Shinji kind of has the same stuff going on, but it's like the animation's nice. The seeing things kind of working, like happening differently, is kind of cool, and like piecing together what's going on is interesting. And I originally really enjoyed the ending, Shinji finally doing something, but when I went to watch 3.0 this time, which I didn't like originally, but maybe it's because I'm in a different mindset now. I found it interesting. I found it interesting, kind of like the whole commentary on the aftermath of the consequences of Shinji's actions and him kind of like dealing with that. That's not something I expected, and that's what I found. Like it's more reminiscent of the therapy sessions, like you said, in the OG series.
Yeah. So people are confused in chat about what Mari is. Mari is literally just like they inserted into the series a stock anime waifu who, like, unlike the other Eva pilots, doesn't have like have depression. She doesn't have issues piloting the Eva. She kind of just does it. She embraces pain rather than rejecting it. She's loud, obnoxious, and like forces herself onto people. Like she's everything opposite of what they're supposed to be. It's literally just like
She's the
something is wrong.
ideal Ava pilot.
Yeah, it's something is wrong. The fact that she's there means something is wrong with this universe.
Yeah.
I remember there's a video that I have to make a video about, and because they paid me to do it, where they said like, oh, she's just a collection of tropes, not a character. Which character is a collection of tropes, first of all, which is whatever. But she is a character. She has a point. She's just like, it's not going to be made entirely clear until 3.0 plus 1.0.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of those things where I think Ano has in his back pocket, and it's like, I'll reveal it to you, and at the end, it's all gonna make sense. Maybe it won't make sense. That's not up to me to make sense of it for you.
It's just gonna be Ano yelling at everybody to go outside again.
Yeah, but and I got the whole point of 3.0, which is you can't redo like what you did. You kind of have to keep moving forward to make something new. That's just kind of it. You have to live with it. And like, it's kind of also saying like, you can't redo the Ava franchise. It is what it is. It goes in circles. That's life.
Well, what it is, right, is that like, if you look at, for example, this is something that I've noticed, or that like, it's kind of blatant when you realize that it's there. You remember, Shinji's tape recorder or whatever?
Yeah.
How he uses it to like, block everything out.
I actually read, I know I don't know if you're going to make a separate point, but I read something recently, like right before this, that said that it's only ever playing in the movies on track 28, which never played in the original show. Like it never showed or never played basically saying that this is not alternate retelling. This is a complete
it's
reset.
continuation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also the fact that at the end when he pulls Ray out during near third impact, and they emphasize that it's near third impact, not third impact. In his hand, he's holding the tape recorder. Mm-hmm. When he pulls her out, it's literally him like, what is it like? Escaping. It's escapism. It's literally just him trying to like block everything out and rely on Ava. So as something to like.
I mean, at the end, he was relying on Kaoru on 3.0. Like, he wanted Kaoru to give him his answers, and Kaoru was like, "Well, you kind of fucked up." So,
Kaoru he had Kaoru read like when Shinji was like, because like 3.0 it introduces Shinji. He's looking around. He's like, "I can just pilot the Ava, right? It'll fix everything. Let me pilot the Ava." And his tape recorder's broken. And
everyone's like, "Don't pilot the Ava. Don't do it again. No.
Stop.
No, Shinji. No, Shinji.
Put a collar on you, bad dog. Stop it."
We had to put a collar on you. Kaoru's like, "No, I'll take the collar." I'm like, "God damn it. That's it."
But like, yeah, he has Kaoru fix the thing, basically saying, "Fix Ava for me. I need it to live." And then like he does it, and he's like, you don't really need. It's like the whole point of 3.0 is literally just in Kaoru's speech, which is literally just if you can do nothing but rely on Ava, then just go out and do something yourself. You don't need to rely on it anymore.
Did he say that word for word, verbatim, or
not verbatim? But that was what he said in the speech. It was like it was basically just if you can't rely on this, you got to go out there and do something yourself. Basically, you could abstract that to also if you take the word Ava to also mean the show. If you can't move on without Ava the show, then just create something yourself, right? And in the end of the movie, Shinji leaves the tape recorder inside his he leaves it behind.
What makes you believe that part is also referencing Ava as a show?
If you look at EOE, where it's also referencing real life as well, and there's the mention of creation is like creating things is also something where Kaoru also mentions music and creating art or whatever. Yeah. But then again, that's also, you know what that is? You know what I'm about to tell you what that is? Mm-hmm. It's literally just you can't accept the love of others if you don't accept yourself. Because if you keep relying on other things outside, then just don't stop relying on it. If you can't live without it, then just make something yourself. It's just an extension of the same theme. Yeah,
you're kind of waiting around for something to kind of give you your answers or to make you give you the next step after self-acceptance. Wait, what am I supposed to do now? And it's kind of like, well, you gotta figure it out. That's it. That was one message.
Because if you think about it, Anno and Gainax as a whole, when they were otaku, but they also were inspired to create their own things. Yeah. But because of their love of otaku. So like,
well, their own things that reference all the stuff they loved.
Yeah, it's also so it's like not even like it's basically just like, you don't rely on escapism. Like it helped you, but you don't need it. You can just make something yourself. Boogity boogity, Yeah. Just like I have made Ava, you can make your own thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but you were gonna say something about Gainax though.
Yeah, basically, they were a bunch of otaku who were inspired by these things, but instead of just relying on those things but staying inside, they created something themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Inspired by those things, right?
Yeah.
So that's what 3.0 is. Because again, I bring up Asuka. Notice how at the very end, Asuka says that Shinji better help her, but then Shinji's stuck alone inside of after Kaoru dies. He's stuck inside the thing. He's like in a fetal position, and she opens up the door and says, "You didn't come to save me once again. You left me all alone again." Yeah. And like she pulls Shinji out, grabs Rei, and they all go walking together.
Yeah. She's basically like, you never learn. You don't learn. You're kind of too stuck inside yourself to see other people. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's what it's like. I feel like but so Redo isn't really trying to say anything different.
The franchise has never.
It's just reminding you that you still haven't done. It's just reminding you still haven't done anything. Like we're still here. You're still paying to watch this movie. You're still in the theater. Like
yeah, it's basically literally telling you if you can't live without Ava, then just make something yourself.
Gotcha.
it's the same message.
That's so Ano. Actually, well,
It's Ano, yeah,
sort
it's
of.
Ano being like, I'm done. It's like, could you please just go
Why
outside?
would he go back to Ava? That's what makes me curious. Like, why? Like, I don't know.
I mean, obviously there's money to be
Well, yeah,
gained from it,
no, obviously, but
but there's also the fact that, you know, he does just want he does like want people to understand the message of his thing. He's wanted people to understand the point, and he's not going to get it when 3.0 plus 1.0 comes out. The same thing's going to happen. People are just going to be like, oh,
yeah.
I
And
don't get
actually,
it.
we have a question from Matoka Mitsuki saying, "What do we think of the weebs that like Ava and get it, and get that it wants us to go outside, but just say that Ano is wrong?"
Well,
So,
we'll look at generic MC's comment.
oh, dumb. I mean, did you want to say anything more about that?
No, I mean, like, yeah, they're just dumb. They're like,
Like,
they're just rejecting the
Ano
point of
does
the message.
not want us to go outside. You're wrong. You know, that's it. Anime's great.
I mean, like, yeah, you can stay inside,
I
dude, but
mean, I
I'm gonna.
feel like it's all a balance. You know, there's nothing wrong with escapism inherently. A little bit of escapism. Everyone needs
But
a little bit of
relying
that.
on it
But
instead
just
of
using it as a crutch, or like when you blur that line when you're not engaging with life anymore because of that, of just using escapism, then that's when it's a problem.
yeah, I wanted to make I'm planning a video where it's like I kind of look at anime where it's like, does anime say that, are these shows saying that escapism as a whole is wrong? And I'm going to be taking a look at different examples and kind of just like showing how like they're criticizing it, but they're not necessarily saying the act of escapism itself is wrong.
I mean,
They're just saying don't rely on it.
completely like probably left field here. Not even anime. When I recently watched Soul, the Pixar movie,
Yeah.
it reminds me of that, like that whole topic of escapism. Isn't it? It isn't directly about escapism, but it's talking about the problem is when you get too obsessed with something, even if it's a good thing, that you no longer engage with the world or
With
reality.
the world, yeah, you're
And
not living.
Yeah, and the whole point is to live, whether
Yeah.
for better or worse, good and bad. Anything that happens is the act of living comes with all of that, and embracing that is the point.
Yeah, because it's the whole thing about like how he goes, you know, oh, if I just have this, my life will begin, and he's not looking at the fact that he has lived this entire time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like the money thing is also criticism. Like people say that on only makes Ava for money. Like, duh, the man has to live. But like also like I don't even think it's a criticism. Like if I was like making a show and I kept telling people the point and they just kept rejecting the point, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm making money off all you. You're stupid.
I mean, it's so easy. You know, they're gonna come back, they're gonna watch it, they think it's gonna be something new. But I'm Ano, and I'm gonna double down because I still believe the same thing. You know, I like again when I initially watched Ava, it's like I wasn't I got it, you know, but as someone that watched the end of Evangelion, it was beautiful, it was interesting, all of that. But for me at least, but part of me, you know, wanted a happy ending, wanted something more for the characters, and you know, crave that like continuation, and because you want that sort of closure to know, okay, they lived happily ever after or whatever, this happened for sure, but you don't get that. But now like I look back at that, I'm like, no, I respect it, it doesn't matter, like it doesn't matter if you don't get that. It did what it was trying to do.
Yeah, it's like you gotta go forward, find your own happy ending. We're not gonna tell you what to do.
Oh well, and that was the whole take with I think the original ending of End Evangelion and TV ending was, you know, you can imagine whatever ending happened after this. It's up to you. Like that's the, I guess, like the message is still the same, but like if you really want, you know, to know what happened, well, you know, think about it, envision it, make a fanfic, you know.
Yeah,
Come up with your
unironically,
own
do what
closure.
I did. It's like, guys, you rely on Ava, dude. I just love Ultraman and like Densetsu Kyojin Ideon. Go do the same thing. You like Ava? Make something based off of Ava. You know, whatever.
Yeah. Just don't copy off too much of it.
I mean, how much can you copy off of a copy? I mean, what?
Well, exactly. Then it's just, you know, you're gonna
You're
get
just
all
making
of,
Ultraman again.
yeah.
Have you seen the images from Ultraman where like it's literally just the Ultraman being crucified?
I
Like,
saw that.
you know,
I told you. I think I saw that in the Craftsdorf. I saw Craftsdorf video, and he kind of had scenes of that. I forgot what that video
yeah,
was.
because like it became like a tokusatsu trope, and then from there it became just like a otaku trope in general to crucify people because Ultraman did it once, and then everybody thought that was epic and cool and based. They didn't realize that the creator of Ultraman is a Catholic and was debating you all the entire time.
It's like, look at how cool it looks. Become Catholic.
Become Catholic. Join the Church of Jesus Christ.
One of us. I mean, that's how it happens a lot of times. People take things and don't question what was the intention, like what was the meaning behind this. Oh God, now I'm thinking of Love Live. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
I win.
No.
I always win.
I mean, is this transition into next week's discussion?
Yes.
I mean, have we said all we did about Ava? I think. Like, do you think the rebuilds? I think we've covered it. That the point is, Ano might be, milking the money and kind of, saying the same message.
Look, all anime is just a good marketing scheme. It's not even like a.
I mean, that's not a secret. It's like Gundam. What helped it sell was right. Any of these animes back then was the merch. Is it the number one question was always, can we make toys? Is it marketable?
You guys think someone like, I don't know, you think Kubrick only did it for the art? My guy had to live. He had to get money. Like, come on, don't fool yourselves. The media industry is an industry. It's a business. Come on, people gotta get paid and live. Like, it's not even, I hate that as like, that's a criticism. It's like, he just wanted money. I'm like, damn, me too, if I gotta eat.
Yeah. No, I think it's, people have to do what they have to do. I think there's a level like of art for art's sake, and then kind of, I don't know, where, like, I don't know, there are some times that people get mad that other people don't like appreciate like stuff that's more artistic, but that's because it's niche and that's how it's going to be. You have to walk a fine line to make it accessible to a wider audience. Because even with Evangelion, my personal thought is, no matter how much Ano preaches to the fans, it's like preaching to them is never really gonna get them to do it. It doesn't, like, you don't motivate people to do something. The sad reality, some people, if they look closely at the message and they want to do something about them, they're already on the fence and just need that push. Maybe it'll reach them. But for the most part, for the majority of people, you kind of need to inspire them. It's not, if you just preach at them, they're like, okay, whatever, grumpy old man. So
I mean, yeah, I would, because like, I think at this point, right, this is the progression. If you guys want a good enough summary of what Neon Genesis Evangelion, the franchise, is, it's Hideaki Anno said, go outside. They didn't listen. Then he said, he said it angrier. Go outside, he yells. The Ava fans go, no, I got your figures. They're nice. Look at how tight Asuka's ass is on this figure. And he goes, okay, shit. God. God, okay. All right.
They're focusing on the wrong thing.
Yeah. And then he goes, okay, look at this now. Look, I ruined the thing you like. Now go outside. Dude, this is great. I love it. It's so good. Okay. All right. I'm gonna show you what happens when you rely on escapism. Do what I did. Don't rely on other people. Make your own thing and accept yourself. I don't get it. What does it mean? Fuck you. I'm gonna go make Shin Godzilla. Go fuck yourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I think it was better that he moved on to other things, but so I think, do you have anything else to add about Ava? I think we kind of covered everything, actually.
Would it be crazy for you to, because I think I'm going to make the assertion one day that the only reason why I understood shows that I hated, like ReZero and Revue Starlight and Neon Genesis Evangelion, is because of Love Live.
Is that what you want to make a video that basically asserts everything goes back to Love Live?
If you understand Love Live, you understand all of media.
At least for you. I mean, you could. That's a good title. You could do that.
You
basically are going to tell people, hey, don't watch mech shows. Don't go back to watch all these influences. Don't watch all this other stuff that people tell you to watch. If you really want to be an equipped anime fan, just watch Love Live. That's your foundation. If you watch Love Live and understand Love Live, you can understand everything.
Which is in and of itself a lie, because the trick there is, in order to understand Love Live, you could also read Bleach. It's all a Ponzi.
No.
Read Bleach.
No. no, we're gonna cancel you here.
No, why cancel?
You've gone too far.
The point is that Bleach is epic, and you must all read Bleach. It has all been a ruse. You have been fooled.
All right, we could save that. We could save that for a future podcast where you make me read the rest of Bleach or reread Bleach, and I'll make you reread something else. So we could.
If you can't read it in 3 days like I did, then you're a fool.
I don't think I'm a speed reader. I think you're a speed reader. I think
I'm
pretty quick.
Just an epic.
Like you're just kind of like 1 second you're on something else, and then this morning like, oh yeah, Dragon Ball Super manga. I'm like, wait, what? How did you?
Yeah.
What?
It's only 60. It's only 60 chapters.
I mean, like, did you just marathon it like last night or something?
I just read it. Yeah.
Oh well, you got a lot of time on your hands. Which is a lie. You're a very busy person.
Can I get some God Kubos in the chat? Can I get God Kubo?
All right.
God Kubo.
Guys, so if you have any questions, let us know in the chat. But I think we've kind of covered everything at this point. You have nothing else to say about Ava.
Okay, hold on. Someone said Ano didn't understand Ava since he made more Ava instead of going outside. No, listen, you're a fool. The man already was outside. He went back inside to make more money so he could go outside again. You have all been tricked and bamboozled by the man.
Stop fighting the chat, man. It's fans are gonna get it or they're not gonna get it. That's it. You can't convince them. You can't let them interpret what they want, even though the sign is there.
No, they're just fucking with me. They
No, I know. So I think we're gonna conclude the stream. I think this is it. I think this was nice.
Type God Kubo in the chat. Type God Kubo in the chat.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I think after this, there will be an audio version. Once I figure that all out, I'll be posting that up. And follow us on. I think most of the people here are probably already following you. But check out our YouTube channels, youtube.com/Onimaru and WatTheWut. And stay tuned.
You know what I didn't get to talk to you? Oh yeah. Well,
what?
bye.
No. What? Go ahead.
I didn't get a chance to talk to you about your video because I did watch it.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. So let's talk about it.
I did watch it. Yeah, that's the one thing I didn't.
Yeah, no, we can talk about it. Yeah. I didn't watch any of your Love Live videos yet, though. So
no, I don't expect you to watch 20 videos.
I don't expect to. So you're just gonna have to give me the one video, and I'll watch the one video.
Yeah. So I watched your Ava video.
Yeah.
And I remember because I do have to say, when I do watch your content, sometimes it becomes very apparent that you aren't aware of the discourse.
I mean, I did. Go ahead. Okay.
It's just like not a fault on you, which is like good on you because now you didn't have to suffer as I did. But like, yeah, like there's certain things like cliches in your video that are apparent of most Ava videos because it's like every Ava video eventually comes to the point where it's like we gotta first understand Ava. You must understand Hideaki. You must understand Hideaki Anno. Or there's also like it's hard. It's like the one where it's like you're like talking about like, oh, what does it all mean? That line. Mm-hmm. And it's like, there's certain things about it. I think the conclusion you come to is fine. I just think like when you start psychoanalyzing Anno, if we talked about this, like that's the part where it becomes kind of like, if you don't know for sure, don't really like, don't say it definitively. And that's what he thinks.
I mean, I think I didn't I drop a line in there saying like, this is just my take on it. Like, it's not really.
Yeah, but you say like Anno is a selfish person and he thinks things like that. And it's kind of like, ooh.
Did I say
that line? Yeah, you did.
And I didn't like add any disclaimer to that, did I?
No, but
kind of like.
Yeah. I mean, like,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's just whatever because it's like it's not like you're necessarily wrong in doing it. I just think like the wording's weird and the fact that you like psychoanalyze them a little bit is weird. There's also go ahead.
No, this is interesting. It's a good criticism. I think it's good feedback. I already got like Shaves' full thoughts on it. So I already told you I got a lot of that. But I think I have this habit of like psychoanalyzing people, and just now I think recently with this feedback I'm starting to realize like maybe that's not cool. like to just kind of just start like it's one thing to psychoanalyze a show because that's for everyone to watch and kind of you form your interpretation about the characters, but then like for people unless they asked you, hey, psychoanalyze me. It's like, you know, you could do that in your head, but then if you're kind of, you know, putting it out there and maybe to some people it could seem like it's fact when it's not, maybe that's not cool.
Yeah, like I mean, like, yeah, I think you could just like if you just change the wording to literally just be like, I feel like that he's this kind of person, and like that would have changed everything, and I would have been like, okay.
I feel like because I've heard most of the time, and I guess this is where we're getting now more into like content creation and scripting and stuff like that. But like where I've always heard with like video essays or essays in general, like if you have to say like I feel or I think or I believe, like
That's not concrete.
like that, it weakens your argument because it should be inherent or obvious or apparent that this is your opinion. It's your video. It's like it's or not just like it's your video. You can do whatever you want. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I'm saying like it's you're the one writing the essay. You're the author, so it's kind of assumed that this is your opinion. You don't need to restate this is your opinion. But I feel like it's different on the internet. Like you have to kind of put that there. So like to spell it out, kind of like, you know how Ava spells things out, like in a way, like spell out that just so you know, this is my opinion. I believe, because by the tone of your voice, people will start to assume like, oh, you're just speaking as if it's a fact.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
that's what you're talking about.
It's also just like, yeah, in the context of the wording, like there's objectivist language and subjectivist language, right? Where it's like, one of it is just like, if you just say, it's the difference between saying I feel this way versus like it is this way, right?
Yeah.
Which like you might not mean it that way, but the language you're using is asserting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people never know it's an opinion. People online are stupid. People literally didn't get that I'm joking. People don't get when I'm joking when I say things like, "Ah, man, I fucking hate Love Live," because it and like,
wait, you're not joking about that?
Thanks for coming to the stream. Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but like that's the sort of thing. There's also the one line where we've already talked about that you've changed, where it's like where you've changed your thoughts on, where it's like you said, you know, Ano told them that it could mean anything they want, and or like they could interpret it how they want. I'm like, he's just saying that like don't like rely on me to make your own conclusions. That's what he's saying. It's the point of Ava.
Yeah, but I think most of the fans that are asking him for answers aren't asking for the message. They're asking like,
they're asking for dumb robot shit. Yeah.
Yes, the lore, the canon, like how does this all make sense? What other big thing were you trying to say? What does this scene mean? Why did he choke Asuka? Like why? Like that, you know, that's what they want to know. And then he's just like, well, you know, it's not important, but find your own answers. I get that now.
Yeah. It's different in wording, because there was another video that I watched where they were trying to say that like, oh, Kubo said that the point of the story isn't the relationship, like romantic relationships, and therefore it doesn't matter. I'm like, those two statements are not like mutually exclusive. He can say it's not the main point, but it also doesn't mean it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? They can still matter, but not be the main point.
What bothers me sometimes about like these like you know, like analysis videos or stuff like that, which, you know, I've done, you've done, but is like this feeling that when you're writing, like you have to get everything right. Like it's like you have to, I don't know. It's kind of like I feel like there's so many ways you can get something wrong. Like you could just slightly interpret something wrong or whatever, and I guess the only solution, like you're saying, is to throw in that I feel like, or I believe this, or that, to make it clear that even if you're not sure about this part, make it clear to your audience that you're not sure about this part.
Yeah, or just fix it later. Like it's just that's one thing. Is like all you got to do is something like if you get something wrong and you acknowledge that's wrong, just add it in the description or in a pinned comment. Like if at that point you do that and people still don't get it, then they're stupid. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, no, and yeah, like I know with that video, I kind of wanted at the end to not worry about that. Like, and again, I probably could have worded it better, but I didn't want to worry about the whole, because there's so many interpretations, so many like different takes on Ava, whatever, and I just didn't want to worry about like making sure I looked through the whole like 20 years of discourse about it and just gave my take. So that was kind of me letting myself go on that, you know, because I didn't want to worry about that. Because again, like I read you that long ass comment that I got from that.
Dude, oh my god, that comment you gave is so funny. I went Oh my god! Tell them.
I will read it to them. I told a few close friends. It's no longer on the channel. I probably shouldn't have deleted it because
You should have screen capped it.
I have it. It's a level of craftsmanship. I shouldn't have deleted it off my my comment section so people could just go to it, read it as a pinned comment. But I still have it. This was a work of art here.
It's so funny.
Like now when I look at it, I'm like, wow, this is funny. But at the time, it just pissed me off. I was too close to my video at the time. It just came out. But let's see. Sorry, let me just try to find it here. So, and context, if you guys are still following along, I'm talking about my Evangelion video. I got this really interesting set of comments from an individual. Let's see if I can ever find it again. This is going to be a bit.
Give it a second, guys. In the meantime, everybody type in God Kubo in the chat. Continue to do so that we may spread the gospel of God King Kubo.
Oh, did I find it?
God Emperor Kubo.
Okay, I found it. So, okay. It was probably my fault for replying to this guy, but I shouldn't have taken the bait. But this guy just comes in and he was like, oh, look, a new video about Evangelion. Is this due to the new interest inspired by it coming to Netflix? This series was fully analyzed long before this guy was out of diapers. Still good to see people are still talking about it. And, I'm like, what the F?
I mean, it is fully analyzed because it is just the show. But, it doesn't mean, the videos can't be made, but whatever.
Yeah. So I responded back, and then whatever. I said whatever. And, I assumed this guy was just, an Ava hater. That was my assumption, and that's what I said in my reply. So he was like, not at all what I meant or was trying to imply. I hardly dislike Evangelion, and in fact, know more about it than you do, and have known it for far longer than you have. I have seen over 536 anime titles since 1993, and I have taught myself enough Japanese to understand subtext that you would never even pick up on and didn't mention in your video. I love Evangelion and have run several anime clubs where I have introduced it to people. Honestly, your interpretation is not new to me. Literally, none of it. To date, I have seen only 26 concrete interpretations of the series, which is why I claim it has already been fully analyzed. You didn't even mention the Red Cross book, or the card hints, or the game references. You didn't mention the studio issues in depth, the connection between Anno and Japanese societal expectations, or his connection to Hayao Miyazaki. I don't think your video is bad, but there is definitely some issues with your logic in your character analysis and Anno's intention behind EOE. I don't think you understand that when you make a video about Evangelion, you are contending with a huge collection of knowledge and interpretations by the community and those that study Anno's work. I don't dislike your video. I find it to be cute. I also like that people still discuss the topic. Maybe it is a copy pasta,
That's what, yeah, right? It reads like a fucking copy pasta. Dude, he does need to go outside. He's the exact type of Ava fan that Anno's like, go outside, you fucking nerd. He's only seen 500. Dude, you can totally tell when these motherfuckers don't know what they're talking about because they got to bring up how much anime they've seen. And it's only in the 500s. And it's like, bro.
Yeah. I was surprised at that because even I knew I've watched more than that because in 2011, I had over 200 and that wasn't even all of them. I had first started my anime list and I had gotten over 200. So I'm like, 536? What cave have you been living under?
What shows are you I've met people like that. They're like, oh, my hours of anime I've watched is longer than yours. I'm like, okay, but why have you only seen 100? And you click on their profile, they've only seen Dragon Ball. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. It's more when the person tries to use that as a measure of I'm better than you because I've watched 536, and it's like, okay, buddy. Whatever. So I was like, but that's exactly the stuff I didn't intentionally. It was intentional. I didn't want to deal with in the video. There is this huge collection of references, data, whatever, but I felt that was besides the point. That was besides the point. Right?
Yeah, it's not important. Someone just said that I don't think I've seen that much. Never really kept count. I had to go outside.
This conversation has devolved.
No, but it's just so funny because that's the exact sound of, dude, that's what people who talk about Ava sound like online. They're like, it was the kind of so when I was on my anime list and I had Ava to like a fucking 6, they would literally like this one guy came on and was like, his name was fucking Mr. Battlestar something, and he was like, excuse me, why do you have Ava at that score? And I was like, because I don't like it. And he's like, we see, maybe you just don't understand it. And then typed a goddamn his dissertation in my comments on Mal. And I was like, okay, but I don't like it. And I argue with him on his points. And then like I blocked him eventually after like arguing with him for literally a day. Because I used to actually sit there and like engage in arguments more often. And then like I blocked him because I was tired of it. And then he sent like all of his friends on Mal to then do the same thing. And they would send me fucking videos on how to argue and shit. And I was like, oh my God, I don't care. I don't care. Like I'm not going to change my fucking score because you guys want me to, because you guys like it.
Yeah.
Like, and they would say the same things. So what I wanted to get at is that your Ava video is not even nearly like in the worst ones. Like even if I criticize this, like, it's not even really that bad. I'm just like, it's an Ava video.
Yeah, that's it.
But
It doesn't
like,
really, it's not doing anything crazy. It's just a regular. That's the feedback I got. Yeah.
It didn't make me even nearly as mad as the one that I have to make a video on. At least your video is edited somewhat. Video is edited well. Because like because you don't really like, while you do use hard cuts, you also like have music and like make it some level like you don't like, you have music that's like entertaining for watching, and you have like you have like motion tweening and shit. So it's like, yeah, this is entertaining. I don't find Ava videos entertaining because I just don't, I never did, because I was like,
it was just a pure like analysis. So I don't know, like that's all it was. It wasn't anything. Like it wasn't a fun video. It was just kind of like, okay, let me just analyze this and then let me just talk about Ano.
Yeah.
Which
like,
Shaves to me was like, why do you got to talk about Ano? Like,
I mean, I got that was your intent. Like that was what you were interested in. You made it transparent from the beginning. I was like, yeah, I get it.
Go ahead.
I just personally don't really, I was just like, I just don't want, like, the wording was just weird to me. But like, yeah, I get it. And I was like, yeah, I got that. That was your point.
You're talking about the wording and the. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, your video wasn't like offensive. It was just an Ava video. And I was like, yeah, this is an Ava video. It wasn't like it just actively like frustrated me. Like, God, the video I have to make a video on, like, we in my server, if you check like the editing chat in my server, we like at Joe from Pause and Select, and he was like, we were like, dude, hey, we're watching your video. We weren't watching his video. We were watching someone else's video where they played 6 minutes of Joe's video instead of making their own points about it. It was actually just AIDS.
Well, we could talk about that a little more.
Yeah.
But I guess, so my question to you, you've been around the community a lot and hearing the discourse, and you've been making videos and stuff like that. Because again, this is kind of what I was touching on a few minutes ago before you started talking about my Ava video. And I don't know if we'll keep this part on the podcast, but it doesn't matter. This is fine for this. But what is it like? Is it really necessary with Ava and other shows, but Ava more so, to go back through 20 years of 25, 30 years of discourse, like to see what the community has said before you attempt to make a video and give your own take?
I'm pretty sure that if you just get the point of Ava, then you don't need to understand anything else, because you could literally just understand the point and then just like, that's all you need. What happens is, if you just make a video that only talks about the point and you don't try to make assumptions about the creator, like, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Because there's ways you could do where you don't talk about the main point. Like there's a video I saw where they was just talking about like the Ava timelines, talking about like only lore shit, and I was like, this is actually kind of interesting seeing how like all the games and everything tie into it if you go with this theory. But like, whatever, like, I don't believe, I would honestly say that going through Ava discourse will just poison your mind. You don't want to die. Like, don't do that.
Well, I know. That's why I was like, but because it's not, I didn't find it to be like the point. Like if I focus on interpreting all these things, right, in my video and getting it right and talking about the Red Cross book, the game reference, like piecing this all together, like I thought the point was accept yourself. the point was it's hard to accept yourself, but you should try to do it, not try to understand all the lore and piece together the labyrinth of what it all means, and all that stuff. You know, like I felt like that would be going against the point of
Yeah.
what I was trying to say in the video.
Yeah, because it's just you have a main point. Like it's stupid to assume that you need to do that, but because like you're not going to go any further. Like if it's a preference thing at that point. But if you're only talking about Ava's point, then what point am I going to be talking about the Red Cross book? If the Red Cross book is literally just a distraction from the main point.
And here's a question about psychoanalyzing Anno, or just that part in general, because like my take on it, right, is that well, most Ava videos make this assertion, is that Anno, that he's so tied into the work that he, again, his quote, he's always quoted that he essentially, you know, gave everything of himself, put all of himself into Ava, that he essentially wanted to burn his essence onto film. That's what he did with the end of Ava. That's what he did with the last few episodes of Ava. So wouldn't it be fair to kind of like if you to kind of understand Anno is more to understand what he was kind of going with in Ava, if you did really want to understand like what was beneath it.
I mean, that's fair. That's like that's why I'm saying it's fair to do it. I just personally don't like doing it because because I make offhand mentions to creators of works too. Like I mentioned, like in my Why I Will Never Stop Loving Bleach. Like I mentioned that Kubo like values writing the characters, like drawing the characters and then like assigning character traits to them because that's what he values. Like I just find it weird to psychoanalyze unless they've outright said these things. I just personally find it weird.
Well, no, he did say some things. Not probably not. Okay, some of the lines you caught me on probably he didn't say, "Hey, I'm selfish" or whatever.
Selfish, man. Like that's kind of like, oh,
that's a leap, you know. You know,
other things you were saying was fine. Other things you were saying in the video, like there's certain lines there where it's like, ooh, I don't know if I would say that.
You know, I think I merged a little bit of my own personal feelings too much with my take on Anno, and I didn't distinguish it well enough. I had this conversation again, the same conversation I had with Shabes about it. We talked about my GTO video, and he liked it and whatever, but he said like one line in there that I said like, the GTO anime is a watered down version of the manga. That was the line I said. And I gave no explanation whatsoever. I just moved on. I just dropped that line. And then he said like, you know, it was all right, but like typically in like Anitube or like Discourse or like these videos, you want to explain. Like you can't just drop a line like that and not give more about it. Like a little bit more, elaborate more on your point of why you're saying that.
I mean, let's be honest here. Most anime adaptations of manga are watered down versions of the manga.
I mean, I thought that was a given, but you know, I didn't go into it more.
Not for Shapes, because Shapes like watches the anime of Bleach, and that makes me feel gross.
I mean, like because like, and plus it kind of gave the impression to some people that I thought the anime was bad or I didn't like it. But my only gripe with the anime was that it had an incomplete ending. That was it. You know, it was a rushed ending. The rest was great. That's what got me into G2 in the first place.
Video?
Yeah, I did, but I still got comments going off on me about like, what? It is not a watered down version. The anime, blah 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 blah. I got a long comment, like a long few comments about it.
No,
I don't know.
You might be spitting a little bit.
What?
I said you might be spitting a little bit. You know,
just read the subtitles, people. Just read the subtitles.
Read the subtitle, dude. I can't read the subtitles. It's called reading a book.
No, but I get it. Like I still think it's something on my part I need to work on in my videos. Sometimes I have trouble wording certain things, and that's what you saw in the Ava video. Like maybe I could have worded in that way, and I think that all comes down to go ahead.
It's just for your videos is literally just wording things, like little small wording things that I find weird. Like where it's like, as I said this about your commits to the Ava video, where like ultimately the only real problem with it was you go like, unlike other characters, Tanjiro's defining trait is his kindness, and that makes him different. And I'm like, hold up, and you show Naruto, and I'm like, isn't Naruto's whole thing how he's really kind to like other people and he like helps them, and like because he talks to them is kind, like kind of reaches out to them that he like, I'm like, it's just weird things
you're,
like that.
You're one of the viewers that when I make my edits, I have to be wary of you. I'm just like, like I'm running out of footage. What do I put here? Oh, let me put Naruto. It makes sense. People associate him with this, so they'll get what I mean, like on a surface level. I hope there's no like, viewer that'll like actually point out this clip, question it, and argue with me on these 2 seconds.
Well, like,
here comes WatTheWut.
You know what would have fixed it though is if you just said like Tanjiro's defining trait is his kindness, and then like that's what I told that to like Drock, for example, my who like helps edit videos for me. He made his video on Komi-san, and the video is like, I told him there's a lot of problems with it, but I said the problem with it is that you start making assertions about media outside of the thing you're talking about, asserting that the thing you're talking about does things massively different from everything else, when in reality Komi-san is just a like exaggerated version of just other manga like stories of its kind about like
you hate generalizations like that. I know that
because,
triggers
like,
you personally when people kind of say like this is the best thing ever. Eva is the only mecha you need to watch. It has everything. Meanwhile,
dude, I love Ultraman, dude. I love the part when they do Jesus.
So no, I get that. But in that with Tanjiro, well, but here it is though. Like I feel like a lot of people do have that association, whether wrong or kind of really surface level, of shonen characters being like a certain way, being like stock, whatever. Like Deku always gets bashed for how he is and stuff like that. So it's easy to make that connection.
It's easy to for a wider audience, but like it's kind of like adding to the pile of
misinformation.
Misinformation, yeah. Because an easy counter argument to the argument that like shonen characters aren't very sensitive is Bleach episode 561, I think, where Ichigo breaks down and starts crying.
Yeah.
So
but it's tough because like, and this is again more from a less about Eva, more from a content creation perspective. Overall, it's you're trying to hit a wider audience while not trying to misinform. So it's like because the wider audience won't give a crap about Ichigo crying, like being blunt, won't care about Ichigo crying in 360. They don't even remember it. They will be like, oh, we're gonna remember all the other times. We're not gonna remember that one exception or whatever.
That's kind of like the curse. You're never gonna win. Like that's the thing.
Yeah. So it's a balancing act, but I think all we can do is accept ourselves and get better. Grow to get better.
Wow, did you just say the point of Neon Genesis Evangelion?
Yes, because we need to wrap this up, buddy.
No, we're almost at the length. We're only slightly over the length of Eva 2.0.
I want to go watch Attack on Titan final season.
Why?
I just reminded the chat, like, wait, that's out? Oh, we gotta go. Like, why are we here? No, but
that's Kage Pro. Kage Pro is dumb.
No, but I'm glad you watched my video. Definitely good feedback. Yeah. Like the last thing I'll say about that, like I spent so long trying to write that video that I think a lot of those issues with wording would probably get fixed if I proofread, edited, spent some time revising it, but sometimes it's like you spend so long on it, and especially because it was such an important anime for me that I just wanted to get it right, but ended up spending so long on it that I just wanted to get it out at that point. And I think it's probably worth the extra time to just kind of keep like looking at it and tweaking it.
Yeah.
At that point. Yeah.
And that's why I have like a bunch of people read my scripts, because I never feel solid on my scripts. I just kind of like whatever. That's just a personal thing for me, because I never feel like anything's right.
Yeah. You got to accept yourself, man.
Oh, okay. Well,
all right, guys.
Watch Love Live Sunshine, season 2, episode 6.
I'm gonna spend the rest of the week. Well, hopefully it doesn't take the rest of the week watching Love Live Sunshine, season 2, part 2.
Let's go.
And then we'll be talking, have the full Love Live episode. Are we talking about both first season? Are we talking about both School Idol Project and Sunshine, right? And the movies. We're talking about all of it. Yeah. We're gonna be talking about it here next week on this channel. I think we're gonna try multi-streaming. You and I will talk about the logistics afterward. I'll send a thing during the week about it, and you can catch us next week. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. Good chat, man.
See you guys. Remember that love lies better than Ava. What?
No. We can have. That's the third podcast episode. We could argue later. All right, man.
Right.
Thanks for joining me, dude.
See
See you guys.
ya. Stop.